Call to order and our pledge to allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Crop,
Present.
Mr. Exiotis,
Here.
Mr. Burke,
Here.
Mr. Rufner,
Present.
Ms. Stemper.
Here.
Do we have any changes to tonight's agenda,
Mayor, if I may.
please?
I have Mr. Clerk, I have several items here that I'd like to adjust. The first is going to be to rescind one of the items on the agenda for this evening. And that is going to be, I move to rescind the previously submitted agenda item, discussion of rehabilitation facilities, for the purpose of replacing it with broader and more neutral discussion language.
Okay,
I have a copy of that if you'd like it.
I do.
And then on that as well is a follow-up replacement, a motion to add. So I move to place an item on the agenda, a discussion item regarding rental properties and group homes within the village of Newton Falls for the purpose of reviewing existing zoning classifications, ordinance provisions, definitions, and general compliance requirements, and to receive informational input from the zoning administrator and village administration regarding how such uses are currently regulated and administered, and that this discussion shall be informational in nature and shall not pertain to any specific property, operator, enforcement action, or application.
Those are two separate motions. A motion to remove the discussion of rehabilitation facilities that's currently on the agenda. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Crop and then Mr. Rufner.
Just for clarity, does that, since it's my motion that I submitted, does it require a second to rescind?
I believe it does.
I'm drawing a blank. Don't all motions require a second?
I'll defer.
No, may I indulge me a few moments with the city clerk? Don't we have seconds on every motion?
Typically, yes.
For the sake of continuity and until I have a more definitive answer, I would suggest we have a second.
Which you did, thank you, I appreciate that.
Roll call.
Before we do, may I ask a question?
Please.
Looking at the agenda, I do not see a second sponsor on either one of the motions. So are they actually on there or not? Because if there's no second or co-sponsor, then they're not actually on the agenda to be stricken anyways. So we should not have to remove either of those two motions that are on there that don't show a co-sponsor.
If I may, I'll defer to the law director, but my understanding is that proposed legislation requires two sponsors. A motion to discuss isn't technically legislation, so I didn't interpret it as needing a second sponsor, which is why there isn't one present.
Mr. Mayor, if I may? Please. I actually, Kevin, I raised the same issue when I saw it on the agenda, was curious myself, and asked for clarification, and was curious as well, and he said the same thing when I asked.
All right, no, I'm good with that as long as we're above board.
As long as that. Ms. Stempert,
Yes.
Mr. Rufner,
Yes.
Mr. Burke,
I abstain.
Mr. Exiotis,
Yes.
and Mr. Crop.
Yes.
Okay.
Before we move on, we need to make a motion to accept Mr. Burke's abstention on the vote.
I believe he needs to,
Explanation.
yeah, he needs an explanation for his
I
act.
just don't want to vote on it at all.
Do we have a second?
A second.
Any discussion? Roll call. Mr. Crop?
No.
Mr. Exiotis?
Yes.
Mr. Burke?
What are we voting on?
Your abstention. So actually, he should not be voting on his own
Yeah, I don't
abstention.
think he votes on.
Mr. Rufner?
No.
Ms. Stempert?
No.
Fails, 3-1. And we have a second motion from Mr. Crop.
Before we proceed, may I ask Law Director a question?
Please.
Since the abstention did not, the motion to accept Mr. Burke's abstention did not pass, where does that leave us?
Councilman, it's my view that if someone abstains, it doesn't require, and I must be.
Charter.
Charter.
The charter
Yes.
requires that? Well, I think the charter is in error then.
But the charter also does not
An
state
agreement.
what if, when.
People voted on it.
Yep.
It was an amendment that was added, it was a change, a charter change, the people voted on it.
Yeah.
And I don't think anybody else up here agrees with it either, but unfortunately, we're bound. So is there a clarification? And I apologize for.
No, I appreciate the historical perspective. I still don't see how we require a council member to vote on something he refuses to vote on. I think that's unconstitutional.
Mr. Mayor, if I may?
Please.
Although the charter is clear and we're bound, if we, as a body, act, I don't know, is there any, I don't know what the legal requirement is, that you can't force somebody to, I don't know what the penalty could be or what the, and I think we're in agreement, so I don't know, I guess I just wanted to put that out there. I think we're in agreement that I don't think we should require an explanation for an extension, but of course the charter does, we try to acquiesce.
Mr. Exiotis?
One thing the charter's silent on is what to do about it. So in my opinion, we just decided on a 3-1 vote that we don't accept his absent. So it just is what it is. That's what I look at it. Oh, well, okay.
Good for me.
I mean, there is no guidelines on what happens if it fails, so.
I would urge Councilman Burke to hold firm and let someone challenge it, because this
There
is
you
a
go.
charter amendment that will be struck down, I can assure you.
I like it.
Right. So weird.
Okay, we have a second motion from Mr. Crop to add to the agenda, a motion to discuss rental properties and group homes within the village of Newton Falls for the purpose of reviewing existing zoning classifications, ordinance provisions, definitions, and general compliance requirements, and to receive informational input from the zoning administrator and village administration regarding how such uses are currently regulated and administered. That was a motion by Mr. Crop. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Mr. Axiotis. Discussion.
May?
Please.
Isn't this something that should be coming from the planning and zoning and not from the legislative body here? Should be initiated at planning and zoning. I know we talked before when you first got on planning and zoning, Brian and I talked before about it. These items have been on there for a while. My perspective, we should basically send this to planning and zoning to start preparing that information to present to us, not us hold discussions on something we've got no information on.
Mr. Crop?
No, go ahead. It's your piece. Go ahead.
Ms. Close?
In my opinion, I would agree with you, ultimately would agree with you in a normal situation, but unfortunately, we were supposed to have a zoning meeting yesterday, and we haven't had a zoning meeting in quite a while. We've struggled with quorum, we've struggled with being able to get people to get in, and ultimately, although I agree that referring items to committees and referring items to commissions and boards is important, we can't be hamstrung with it. This is an issue that's been discussed and kicked around for years now. And I think it's well past time that we have a discussion, and ultimately, whatever planning and zoning, any commission or board ultimately does, is going to come back to council anyway for council approval. This is just a discussion item, and that's what I'm proposing, and I believe the zoning administrator is here, the administration's here. I don't know what it could hurt to have this discussion, and the law director here as well, who just gave an opinion on such a topic and discussing, this type of issue. I think it's about time that we have this discussion on council floor, and I
I guess I just don't understand what the use is in kicking it back to a committee that doesn't meet and hasn't met for some time, and there's no guarantee that it will meet anytime soon, while this issue is something that has been on the city's mind and the residents' mind and council's mind. We've discussed this and just kind of kept kicking the can down the road all the time. And again, I'll just say, this is just a discussion item, and I think it's important to have this discussion in the public instead of referring it back to a committee.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Mr.
Mr.
Cotter. Mr. Axiotis?
I see the motion, at least what was brought before me on the agenda. I don't know what the exact wording is now for this, but we have talked about this before. I don't have a problem with legislation starting up here or in committee, either or. I agree with Mr. Krupp and his comments, but what I have a problem with, I guess, is I don't know what this motion is to talk about other than we have a problem, which we've already done numerous times. Now, if there's some meat and potatoes that went along with that, something to talk about other than us just shooting off the hip, that's great, but I don't see anything yet that has come before me to even talk about. We're well aware of the issue. We've talked about it up here numerous times. So until I see something that's actionable or something we should consider or do, I don't know what this motion's to achieve, other than us just shaking our head going, yeah, we know there's a problem. Like, I need some legislation. I need something that would be helpful to talk about today. So.
Please.
I'm going to, this needs to come from zoning and come here. We are doing a huge overstep to say, hey, come up here and start explaining this to us. You know, have we reached out to zoning? Have we talked in depth with any of them to have them prepared to give us the information and the ordinances and all that kind of stuff that they should be presenting to us? I don't think it's appropriate in this time frame and this format. It starts with zoning, and we're trying to think what the word is, but we're basically saying, I realize they haven't met, but we're giving them a purpose of this is what they're supposed to be doing and bringing to us, and by bringing it up here and starting to discuss it, we're stomping on their toes and saying you're not important.
May I? Actually, the zoning board did meet in December. They met to discuss Circle K. And this time there was an exception to the meeting based on one of the members and not having quorum, but the proposal was to have a meeting later in the month. So we do have a meeting coming. It's just, you know what I mean? It is coming. It's just, it may not be right this minute. So I just thought I would let you know that. They did meet in December to discuss Circle K.
If I may.
Please.
In regards to some of the comments, I understand where I think the council and the administration is coming from, but we keep talking about zoning. The zoning administrator is right there. He's sitting in the room right now. And our law director has actually provided us with an opinion today that actually spells out some of the steps. And to Mr. Axiotis' point, nothing that he's claimed and said that nothing's been provided. The opportunity to discuss and ask questions, the law director has actually spelled out in a very clear opinion, I believe, the next steps that we should be taking, which is actually acquiring information. And I'm curious, I'd like to talk to the zoning administrator right now. He's sitting right down there, he's sitting out in the gallery. I'd like to ask him a few questions or have a discussion, or maybe he can provide us with some information instead of waiting just to go back to another committee, then to come back to council again, when he could just do that right now. And we could maybe get some information. Maybe there is nothing for him to provide to us, but why can't he tell us that? He's here. I would invite him up to the podium to have this conversation. And again, this is just a discussion. I'm confused as to why council and the administration seem so opposed to just having a conversation and talking about such a important issue that has been talked about and discussed by people at the podium in the community for years at this point now. I don't think any action has actually been taken. I don't think anybody up here at the dais right now can tell me how many rental properties are in the community as a total. Maybe they can. If they want to share that publicly, that'd be fantastic. Or what zoning administration, or what zoning ordinances or codes apply to those things. And of course, again, Mr. Limbian's opinion that he gave today, and I think everybody received this, it spells it out very clearly what the three parts are as far as the protections and all the different things. We have an obligation to protect the community, protect the protected classes, protect the businesses, and information is what allows us to do that. So that's all I'm advocating for, and again, I'm 1 out of 5, and if council decides to not discuss this tonight, that's totally within council's prerogative. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Possibly we could wait till the zoning inspector comes up and we can ask him some questions, and council could present
That'd be
questions.
May I?
That's possible.
Well, in all fairness to the zoning administration, we just received this legal opinion from the law director, so there hasn't been a chance to have any discussion at all, and he is a brand-new administrator, so I don't want him to legally state something that would not be okay for council floor.
Fair.
Thank you.
Okay, I can respect that. So let's move this back a little bit until we can get a little
We
bit
gotta
breathing
vote on his
room and do the
motion.
right.
Yeah, we need to vote on
We have
the,
a
have to
motion
vote on
and a
the motion.
second.
Sorry.
You ready for the roll call vote? Vote? Mr. Burke?
Abstain.
Mr. Rufner?
no,
Ms. Stimpert?
No.
Mr. Crop?
Yes.
And Mr. Axiotis?
No.
Pass, four, whatever.
It should fail.
Oh, no, that's right, failed. My apologies. It failed 3-1.
And then do we need to have Mr. Burke again state why he's abstaining? Sorry.
For procedure.
Just don't feel comfortable talking about it or voting on it.
so for the purpose of sufficing the charter, I will make the motion to accept Mr. Burke's abstention.
I'll second that.
Mr. Rufner, Mr. Axiotis? Mr. Crop?
No.
Mr. Axiotis?
Yes.
Mr. Burke? I'm sorry. Mr. Rufner?
No,
Ms. Stimpert?
No.
Failed 3-1.
If I may.
Please.
Mr. Clerk, I have another addition to the agenda this evening, a motion to add an item.
Okay.
I move to amend tonight's agenda to include consideration of an ordinance amending section 140-6 of the codified ordinances of Village of Newton Falls relating to the Utility Appeals Review Board hearing procedures for the limited purpose of clarifying compliance with Ohio's Open Meetings Act. I have a copy of that. I have a copy of the actual ordinance that I put together as well.
this is one you think.
And if you'd like, I can give an explanation if that's,
Well, I mean,
What was the
sure.
number of that ordinance?
I'm sorry,
What was the ordinance number one more time?
140.06. So the reason I'm asking for this is pretty straightforward, as I've written here. While reviewing Utility Appeals Review Board section of our code, I noticed a provision that could be read as allowing the public to be dismissed during a hearing. That language doesn't clearly align with Ohio's Open Meetings Act, and I think it's important that our ordinances match state law as closely as possible, especially for boards that hear appeals and make decisions that can go to court. The amendment is narrow. It doesn't change the structure of the board, its authority, or how appeals are decided. It simply clarifies that an executive session must follow state law, and that all decisions and votes occur in open session. It's really about transparency, consistency, and protecting the village, the board members, and the public. It's housekeeping, not a policy shift.
If I may, is this a motion to discuss or a motion to draft legislation?
This is a motion to add an ordinance to the agenda.
Add an ordinance to the agenda?
Yep.
I would have to defer to the law director. I haven't experienced this before. Have you seen, are you aware of this ordinance?
I don't believe I am. I'm having a little difficulty hearing tonight, but I don't believe this is something that's come to my attention before. Mr. Crop,
Would you like to review?
ask how it's possible to add something in an ordinance at this late hour.
Changing the agenda for charter, I believe. My mistake.
No, in the law director, that's fine. That's a sign.
May I think out loud for a moment?
If
I'm
you would,
concerned
please.
that adding another ordinance to a meeting that hasn't been on the agenda prior to the announcement of the meeting, I think might also be a violation of charter requirements. But I'm just thinking out loud.
Correct.
If I may, think out loud as well with you. I don't know if the rest of council has seen a draft of this ordinance before. And so I would understand that this would be submitted by Mr. Kropp, but I'm unaware of a second sponsor and or any review of legal form by yourself prior to it being made public for
I would agree.
consideration.
I can rescind.
I'll move to place it on the next agenda.
Okay. Thank you. It's probably pulled out.
I'm sure it is. Absolutely.
With that, we move on to special presentations, Mayor.
I have one more item.
Oh, my apologies.
No worries. Mr. Mayor, if I may?
Please. This is a motion for discussion item as well. So a motion, I move to amend the agenda to add a discussion item regarding the Village of Newton Falls' potential involvement in America 250 activities, including coordination related to the July 4th, 2026 celebration for the purpose of gauging interest and exploring preliminary ideas. And if
The council would like, I can provide a brief explanation. Mayor?
This is just a discussion item only intended to begin a preliminary, non-binding conversation. The purpose is to gauge interest from council, the administration, the public, and existing community organizations such as the July 4th Committee or other groups regarding whether the village may wish to play a more active or supportive role in America 250, America 250 related activities in 2026. With several months available for planning, this discussion would allow early public engagement and exploration of potential partnerships without committing the village to any specific course of action.
We have a second?
I will second that.
Ms. Stimper? Any further discussion?
If I may,
Please.
would that not be an administrative action taken on by like city manager or something of that nature? Rather than, I mean, we're supposed to be the legislators, we're supposed to be the enacting the laws, the rules, so on and so forth. If we're gonna have town hall meetings and discussions, that should actually go primarily with the city manager, if I understand from an administrative aspect. I mean, yeah, we get involved with it. I used to go and attend all the little town hall meetings as myself, but also representing council. The questions were asked, but to me, we're cutting the legs out from underneath the people that should be in these positions doing these things, making that coordination. If actions are necessary, or that something that requires our actual written support or endorsed support, then it would come to council. Not everything that happens in this community has to come across this row of desks, nor should it, because we're cutting out the legs from underneath the people that should be actually doing it and engage with the community in doing that. I mean, we can all engage with these community partners, and we can all talk to the businesses, we can all talk to the organizations, but is it really the legislative body's role to provide that connection, so to say?
Mayor, if I may?
Thank you, Mr. Rubin. Yes, sir.
I understand, I think, the direction, the perspective, but I think I have a different take on it. And the fact that having discussions, again, I'll just kind of reiterate, discussions are just that. And I think when we have discussions and conversations up here for the public to see and hear, it goes a long way in letting people know that we're actually paying attention, that we're aware of what's happening. And also, I think it's important to remind council that council's responsibilities are not only just the legislation part, but offering directives and those kind of things to make actions happen that involve the community. And if we refuse to ever discuss anything or have conversations up here at the dais, again, this doesn't have to be a long drawn out thing. It's just a simple conversation to let people know that we are conscious of this. This is a significant event. It's never happened in our lifetimes. It's a 250th anniversary of our country. I think it's very important as the elected body that represents the constituency and represents each of our wards. I think it's important to let them know that we're thinking about these types of events. This could be a massive event. And I think we would coordinate with the administration and have this conversation to consider if we need to make directives, or we need to request things, or if the administration wants to do things, or wants to make things happen, that's on us to do. I think it's important to have these conversations, and I don't see what it hurts. I think it's something the council hasn't done a lot of, and I think it's a good idea to have these conversations, and I just don't see what it hurts. And it could really help and bolster, the businesses, the community, and let people know Newton Falls has been historically known as, a destination place for July 4th. And this is gonna be one of the biggest events that the country's seen as far as a celebration for the 250th. I would like to start getting ahead of that, and I don't know what we're waiting for, I guess, ultimately. And this isn't, the administration has plenty of other things on a day-to-day basis going on. Maybe this doesn't end up on her plate, or isn't something that she's, considering, the administration is considering right now. So why can't we have this conversation and maybe kickstart that, and maybe get the public involved? Maybe they have ideas or want to share something, or see that we're talking about it. So that's really the intent of what this discussion piece is about. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Anyone else? Ms. Jolie?
I guess I'm just, I see both sides here, but honestly, I think it's just kind of put some information out there and gather to show that we are interested in, in participating or being involved and acknowledging the 250. So that was my second for it. I do think, just to have some language and verbiage out there that, Newton Falls is talking about it. We have a lot of things that we do already that will tie right into it and doesn't take much effort at all. So that was my reason for seconding.
I can address.
Mr. Rufner?
I have no problem with discussing and sharing of information if we actually have information to share. There's been nothing brought to us, forwarded to us, or even discussed up to this point. So we're gonna have a discussion about the 250th, but we have no information. So what are we really discussing is my point. We have nothing laid in front of us. What information do we have? If you have information, you have information, nobody else does. So that's why I say it should come up to the table with the information. Here's what we got, here's what we're looking at, here's what we need to do. I mean, we can have the discussion, but I have no input because I have no idea what we've got. So that's my point.
Mr. Mayor, if I second.
Please.
In my opinion, I think, to your point, I think we're 5 capable individuals of thinking of things out loud, having conversations, coming up with ideas. But I think the major point of this is, if council is always reactionary and never initiative, never, being the one, the driving force of anything, if we're constantly just sitting back and waiting for someone to bring us something and to tell us things, and then we act because of that, I just don't agree with that. I think that's the opposite of what I think our role is, honestly. And again, this is multiple times now that this is just, it's a discussion. And I think good things come from discussions, and just having conversations, regardless of, some abundance of information, whatever that may be. If just 5 people sit up here, 6 people, or the administration have conversations about these things, to let the public know that we're thinking about it, that we're considering it, that we're open to their input, and that we want them to engage with us. If they don't, so be it, then that's on the public. And the intent of this was to gauge interest. So if there's no interest, then there will be no interest, and there'll be no point in having a further discussion, and we won't do anything else with it, and it won't go anywhere. So that's fair. But I really want to get, in my opinion, again, like I said, I'm 1/5 of up here. I just want to get away from being reactive to everything, and would like to be more initiative and actually doing things instead of waiting for something to happen. Because that seems like that's all that kind of happens, is we just kind of wait for things to happen, and then we react to them, and we end up with a lot of the things that we have, whether it's administrative code items, or charter gets changed, or these types of things. And I think I don't agree with that. I think, like I said, again, it's just a discussion to gauge interest. If the public wants to get involved, or anybody wants to get involved, great. If they don't, that's fair. At least we'll know. We'll know. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Vote.
Mr. Rufner?
No.
Ms. Stemper?
Yes.
Mr. Burke?
No.
Mr. Axiotis?
Yes, I guess.
Mr. Crop?
Yes.
Passed 3-0. Or, I'm sorry, 3-2.
If I may.
Please.
So I've had conversations with Jamie. I think I just wrote on my ear. On the 250, I had gone to a meeting for the county, and in those discussions, I had brought back and talked with Jamie that, you know, our summer events, our fall festivals, all those kind of things, if we can advertise them, put them out there. There's a couple websites for the Ohio and for the United States that you can share the information on. They didn't sound real promising that they would all get on there, but in talking with Jamie, and if I misspeak, you can correct me, you know, hopefully we get our city page up and worked on, addressed. I thought that would be a great resource for us to put out our local events that we already have. We just need to, you know, tweak the wording or the language and you know, hype it up a little bit. I've also, Jamie and I have met with, and the mayor, with our school district on some things that they want to do to bring in our historical assets and different things that they have that they're working on. And again, those conversations were had, and I shared that information with them, of those websites where they can share some of their information. If it gets out, it gets out. But again, our webpage, you know, if it can get addressed, and it would be a great asset to put that stuff.
I should have stated this, Mr. Kropp's discussion item, that motion to discuss will be added to the end.
Oh, sorry. And you let me ramble that
Well,
whole
I
time.
didn't want to interrupt you. I recorded it, I just wanted to be sensitive.
Oh my, I was so excited to share it. Fine. I'm not repeating it, so you can just
you don't have
copy
to.
that and put it back where it was.
Got it under now.
I just don't want anybody else to get
We'll
involved.
talk about it again during.
You were sitting there smirking, and I thought, why? He likes this, okay.
You just.
Go ahead, point of order me. Go ahead,
I
Mr.
didn't want
Kropp.
to. I didn't.
Do it.
You
Let's see.
supported my motion, so I wasn't gonna point of order you.
Sorry, guys. Moving on.
Special presentations, Mayor.
All right, do we have any special presentations by staff members or invited consultants tonight?
We do actually have a few of the department heads here, but I'm asking that they only take a couple minutes so we don't extend this meeting too long. So if you have any additional questions for them, please feel free to reach out with any clarifying questions, and I'll get them to them. Thank you.
Mayor, members of council, I'll make this brief. Got this email kind of late in the day. We've been having a lot of stuff going on. But you sent the email, Brian, about the pole attachment agreement. So just to clarify some things, I had some time to get some stuff together. This has been going on since Brad Bryan days. Bill tried to get it done. We haven't had a lot of help in the law department. No offense, you guys are busy. Reached out to AMP, did deal with Jennifer Flockersy. She is our manager of technical services logistics. We have some templates we went off of. This isn't something that we just created on our own. Pam and I worked 3-4 hours on this together.
Line by line.
Yeah, every piece line went over. What this agreement does is it allows us to not only update from 2012, I think it was 2012. What this is for contractors. So Spectrum, CenturyLink, Brightspeed, they're attaching to our poles, and they're not going to do it for free. So they have been paying an extremely low rate. This doesn't affect, you had asked about rate studies. It doesn't really relate to that because it's not for the customers. It's for us to charge them for anything we have to do to maintain the poles, keep up with the poles. The contract we have currently doesn't hold anybody liable. If they don't want to, say we go out and replace a pole and they don't want to transfer it, I have nothing to go after them for. They just do what they want. This agreement allows us to get with the law department and send them, a letter saying you have, I think we made it 60 days.
I think so.
That they have to comply so that we don't have these pole chunks around town. You'll see like a new pole set up, and then we have a pole that looks like it's halfway up the new pole. Well, we're waiting for them to transfer their stuff to our pole. Different unions, different entities. We don't have permission to go touch that stuff. They pay to attach to our pole. Say we get too many attachments on our poles. allows us to go out and say, you know what? You can attach, but now we need a guy. I need a secondary guy. I need a different guy attachment, so the poles aren't like going through this like through town. So there wasn't really anything to study or reach out to anything law-wise. These contracts were drawn up through AMP's legal counsel. So basically, it allows us to get, and I'm just gonna share this main one with you guys, because you might think, well, where'd they get this number from? This will probably be the easiest one to show you guys. And these rates were set, AMP does studies with municipalities, and that's where we get our information from when we need to find things out. That way, it's fair across the board. And these studies just, they were done with OMEA, OCTA, telecom associations, telecommunications association. They've worked with all these people to keep it all legit and legal so that they have parameters. They have to be so many feet under our lines, neutrals, secondaries, primaries, transmission. And if we don't have an agreement, they can just come in and attach where they want to and do what they want. And, I actually ran into it here recently. These guys are coming in. I don't know if you guys know it or not, but it was 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. They're flying through there. Luckily, I work in the fire department, so I'll be coming back from a call, and I'm going through around 534, and I see these trucks going down 534. I'm like, they're buried on the side of the road. They're attached to our poles in the middle of the night. If we don't hold these people liable,
What contractor was that, if I may
I
ask?
think that one was Spectrum.
Spectrum.
If we don't have anything to hold these guys liable, then we might as well just tuck our tails and walk away. So this isn't customer-based. This has nothing to do with the residents. This strictly has to do with contractors and companies that attach to our poles, and it gives us something to hold them liable, and standards, standards to keep them straight. And if they don't comply, then we have something to go back on to make sure that they do comply with our demands. Bell, these guys, I've got stuff from the 50s still on the lines. You know what I mean? And we're tired of it. Tired of these poles. You guys drive around town, see a pole with a big white X on it. That pole's been there for a long time, and I have nothing to go on contractually to force these guys to remove it. So first of the year now, it's actually perfect timing to pass this. If you guys pass this, we'll get the letters sent out. They'll have to sign it. Once they sign it, it's the rate shows you. It's actually it'd be like 11.047 cents. We just rounded it to 11. This contract will stay legit. It's a 2% increase, which is what AMP standards are, what they do across the board to keep the standards straight. So we increase revenue. 2% really isn't that much, but it just keeps it industry standard. But they'll get it, and then we'll go from I think it's $7 or $8 up to 11, and then. Not only that, it enables us to keep everybody straight. So, any questions on what you guys are voting on tonight? Yeah.
One quick question, just for clarification. I know previously I worked with Mr. Novotny when he was the acting city manager, and city manager before that, and also Mr. Bradrick Bryant, and so on and so forth. Will this also give us the teeth to address the abandoned wires that are hanging out there that, we've got several over in my area that I've called in and said, hey, we've got a cut cable just wrapped around, zip tied up out of the way. Will that give us the teeth to go back on them to say, come remove your trash?
On our poles?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So you guys see these wires just flimming through the air in town, but we type them up or we wrap them up. We tighten with tape. So it's a fine line on what I can go cut off the pole.
Right.
You know what I mean? But yeah, this will give us the ability to. Everything. It keeps them in line.
I think there's actually a clause in there somewhere that I'd have to go back and look and see exactly where it's at, but I believe it states that if it's abandoned for over a period of time, say we give them 60 days to come and remove it and they don't remove it, that allows us to go out and take it down.
And we charge them for it.
Yes.
So,
All right, thank you.
you're welcome. Any other questions?
Please.
Matt, I appreciate you guys coming up and
Yeah.
addressing this, and the email specifically. I looked at, first I want to clarify that, to make sure that I'm not in opposition to this in any way, shape, or form. My issue was solely with making sure that this contract, this agreement that we're going to sign is mutually beneficial or leans towards the village.
Oh, yeah.
Protects the village.
Yes.
And I conferred with the law director as well and provided some suggested amendments to that contract, that agreement, to give it the balance that it needs. And I assumed that it was a boilerplate, something that came from AMP or something that came
Yes.
from
Yeah.
from the telecom industry. And I would like to see that, like I said, more leaning towards village protection. There's some deemed granted access in there. There's The contract is a 3-year contract with a 2-year, you have to, 2-year lead time to do anything, which that looks like, and there's another 6 month on top of that with, good faith negotiations, those kind of things. So you're looking at a 5.5 year before we can do anything if we want to step away from this contract or move it away. And also, the other thing, as far as rates were concerned, I wasn't referring to customer rates. What I was
Okay,
referring
just
to is
wanted to
how much
clarify.
they're paying us.
Yes.
Because, and that's why I also included cost of service.
Mm-hmm.
Because let's say there is an instance, there's something happens, one of these companies is on one of our poles and gets hurt and sues our city, and we have to litigate, or anything, I'm just throwing hypotheticals.
I get
I'm
it.
not throwing specifics, and
Yeah.
I'm just trying to think outside the box again to protect
Yeah.
the city. There's nothing in there that totally indemnifies us. It's a mutually shared who's ever at fault clause, essentially, that just says, well, if you're at fault, you're at fault. But in the meantime, before we determine fault, we're gonna litigate. It could potentially cost us hundreds of thousands of dollars for an $11 per pole payout. And that's the question I was asking, not customer rates, but what they're paying us. Is that even a fair rate for what they pay us? I'm sure AMP thinks so, but when it comes to them using our poles,
Yeah.
and the fact that we have a 5-year, we're gonna end up with a 5-year contract if we sign this, that was where my questions are. Maybe you can speak to any of those things.
Yeah, so litigation for fault on their end, no, we're not liable for that. They're acting on their own. As to, sorry, you said a lot of information.
Sorry.
The one thing that struck me was the liability. No, we're not liable for them attaching to our pole, number one.
And I apologize. I really didn't mean to expound. That's more of a legal question. I actually shared
This actually
the
makes,
things that I had, the amendment suggestions that I had for this contract with Mr. Limbian to have him kind of look at. And again, like I said, I'm not opposed to this at all. I think it's probably a good idea, but I think it probably makes sense, as you kind of led with, that there's not really been a lot of discussion with the legal department about this particular contract. And it is pretty much a boilerplate contract from AMP as opposed to
We have one.
originating from our.
We have
originating
one.
from ours.
It's, this is updating the current one we have from 2012.
Oh, wow, okay.
Yes.
Yeah, we have one in
I wasn't
place.
aware of that.
Yeah.
Okay, I wasn't
yeah,
aware of that.
and the one that we have in place doesn't really hold them liable.
Yeah.
This one, we went through it line by line, kind of adjusted it to where, it helps the city. We sent it out to Brian and Kevin. They forwarded it out to Jeff, who gave his opinion on it, and anything changes that he thought may have needed made,
Mm-hmm.
sent it back to them. They approved, and it was sent over for the agenda.
Yeah.
So it has been looked at a couple
Crossed
times
through,
over.
Yeah, yeah, I mean, what's nice is it wasn't just this one. I mean, I've reviewed contracts from Bowling, all over the state of Ohio, Bowling Green, I mean, just, I looked at many contracts before I brought a specific one to Pam that was from Jennifer Flockersy. And that she's like my go-to at AMP. Anything I need, if she can't do it, she gets me the right person. And this was just the one that made most sense. And is also, I mean, I don't have copies of it, but I've got like a 20-page template that we went off of a bunch of things to update the 2012 one. It's a known thing with, if they're working on our polls, we are absolutely not responsible whatsoever. They're doing their thing. That's the agreement they have. So,
Mayor, if I could follow up, please, unless anybody else wants an address. Mr. Limbian, I shared the agreement with you and shared what I suggested for amendments. Could you weigh in potentially on your view on?
Yes, I think a little historical perspective might be useful too. The law department was available to discuss this, and in fact, we had a meeting. The city manager and Mr. Evans and I had a meeting, and at that meeting, I started to review the contract and thought, this is a highly technical, highly complex piece of contractual information, and I do not think this is ready for review and consideration. It was I know you're wowing me because you think that there's an urgency to this. I think urgency is a problem with something as complex as this. And with all due respect, I don't think two non-lawyers going over a template of a contract and saying, oh, we're all okay, is a good idea. The reason I stepped back from it, because after 32 years of experience as a lawyer, I think this is a matter that a lawyer who does this every day should be looking at. And for us to ask you to consider a pole attachment agreement with language that is so complex in terms of its electrical components and then its legal components is a folly. And to say that we're not liable in a litigation sense is, again, ridiculous. Plus, it doesn't matter if we're liable or not, we're still going to be responsible for the expense of litigation should anything go off the tracks. Thank you.
Jamie, correct me if I'm wrong, we never had a meeting about a pole attachment agreement.
Not that I'm aware of,
No.
but the other thing that I do want to
Is this
point
part
out.
of the AMP thing?
No, it is
No,
not.
this is
This is
not.
not part of the AMP agreement. However, I also want to say that you did review it as to form when you put it on this agenda.
As to
And this was
form.
not, but if it had some legal issues, it would have been better to not appear on this agenda.
Well, but see, as to form is different from not liking, and those are policy issues, those are not legal issues.
But this is not the same issue that you think that
Okay,
it
but,
is.
but we're dealing with, did I see that AMP was a part of the construction of this? I saw AMP was a part of this.
AMP is a partner with the Village of Newton Falls in the operations of our electric system. So yes, they're going to be a partner in this, and their legal team's available to us to provide guidance in cooperation with the village. They're not opposing us in this.
Was I ever asked to be a part of a poll agreement conversation?
In the past, you have been for many years, and they've tried a couple of years now to get this reviewed in the way, in the manner that you're stating. This is totally separate from what you're referring to. So we did move forward with counsel from AMP. As I said, they're available as a community member to us to address these issues. So they have reviewed it. So it really should not have any liability issues or form issues just coming out as a template because other communities have already used it. So that's all I'm saying. But again, I'm not an attorney. I'm just, here to let you know the processes that we've been through so far. Thank you.
Still think it's a mistake.
Can I ask, if it was a sent over from their legal counsel, why it's a mistake? This isn't a document we drafted up. This is something that's been done, and I have emails back from Bill George trying to contact you that we couldn't get any help with this. So we reached out to AMP's legal. They sent us this contract from AMP. And all we're doing is we're postponing the position where we can take care of our own poles. I've got poles leaning over. I've got poles falling down. I've got wires going through town. I have nothing to contractually hold these people responsible. I've asked for help. I have not gotten help. So I reached out to Jennifer Flockersy from American Municipal Power. They gave us the contract from their legal team. We made it fit Newton Falls' standards, and we held them a little bit more reliable, or a little more responsible than AMP did. We actually stricken it up a little bit, and then we submitted it to you guys. Kevin reviewed it. Kevin offered some changes. We made the changes Kevin wanted. It was sent over to Mr. Limbian. He said it was okay. It was sent back. It was put on the agenda. I don't understand. I'm not here to argue or fight. We're trying to move forward. Everyone wants to move forward, but we can't move forward if we can't pass things. This isn't a bad thing. This is a lot of work, and it's been a lot of years and time of trying to get this passed. Like I said,
was
Brad
like-
Bryan, this is
I think it was like 2007
Yeah.
since we've had an increase.
this is
This is the rate we've had since 2007.
yeah.
$7.
Yes.
If I can address that.
Absolutely.
City Manager?
If Jeff is stating, our law department is stating that he didn't have a hand in drafting this contract or agreement, or for whatever reason, that's neither here nor there. That's,
Absolutely.
I don't know, I don't want to get in between a bickering match. Is it possible to receive another opinion, table this, receive another opinion from
Absolutely.
a separate third party? And I say that because as far as AMP is concerned, and I'm not, again, I don't know who the people, the representatives from AMP, but generally speaking, when you talk about contracts that are being anything, when you're gonna have it generated by the party that you're going to be working with, again, I'd feel much more comfortable having a third party review for protection to make sure that it's completely mutually beneficial. Just in the looking that I did at this as well, there were a number of things that stood out to me that, like I pointed out, the contract length, that, a 5-year contract, essentially a 5-year contract, that's longer than a council term. So if we ever wanted to back out of this contract, we wanted to begin, we got a 3-year contract plus 2 years plus 6 months on top of that. A deemed granted section in there, which basically says that if for some reason the administration fails to respond or reply if there's an issue, then they're automatically granted access to our polls. That, I feel like that's like little things like that. I've got, like I said, I have a whole list. I didn't want to go through the whole list with you, Matt. I appreciate all the information you provided and your passion to get this done. And clearly it's something that you want to get done
Very much so.
quickly. I have the responsibility, I know this body up here has a responsibility of fiduciary responsibility in protecting the village, ultimately, and protecting us from litigation and those kind of things. I would I would feel much more comfortable voting on this in a couple weeks if we had a review from a third party. And I would be happy to submit my amendment requests. I've submitted them to the law director and gotten feedback from him.
I think he was in agreement with some of the things that I proposed. But this was never brought to my table. This is the first time I'm seeing this, because I wasn't included. For some reason, there was only 2 council members that were included in this discussion. I wasn't one of them. So I don't know why that happened that way, why there was only 2 council members involved.
You can't
But-
have an email discussion. So we have to select a couple members. And
That's fair.
Yeah, and I miss no disrespect to you and Jeff, but I feel like you guys don't know what AMP is.
Me?
No,
No.
Jeff
Oh,
and
I thought you meant
Brian.
me.
You guys are talking like
they're the enemy.
we're going to partner with them. We are a member of AMP.
Correct.
They have many services they provide to us because we're basically part owner of AMP, being a member community. They provided this to us so we could use it in our dealings with other companies. This isn't like us versus AMP. This is us versus everyone else. And if I understand the opposition to this, but the alternative is leaving nothing in place, and then we're still nowhere. It doesn't change anything. If anything, it gives us something to work with. If you guys want to kick the can down the road, that's fine, but understand, AMP is a partner. We're a part owner of AMP. It's not like, because the way you said something, oh, well, you know, AMP will get one over us on us, it seemed like. That's not the case here. Has nothing to do with that. This is something they provided us that we can use, that they use with all their other member communities, that as of right now, what we have is very poor. That's all I'm gonna say. So I feel like you guys are a little off base on some of this discussion. I think Jeff's confusing the sale of the transmission assets to AMP. I think maybe you're a little bit confused on that too. That's a whole different transaction that will be discussed later. This is just a pull-attach agreement.
Thank you, sir. You know, this is just the business of maintaining the poles. And, you know, the liability of contractors going up there, and as Matt said, you know, they're coming in at 2 o'clock in the morning and doing this work. And there's a lot of low-hanging wires, and the cable was out in town again today too. So, and AMP is there to advise us and to give us an idea what goes on in other municipalities. And they have offered, you know, their opinions and legal services, and I think it would make our job a lot easier if we could lean in and listen to what AMP has to say on this. So,
Can we get final
yeah,
address, Mayor?
please.
To this point, maybe I am confused. Is AMP not a for-profit? Do they not make money? Are they not in business? Are they not a business? Do they make money? Do they make money?
They're not attaching to our poles.
It's not, the question I asked is, do they make money? Are they in business to make money?
Well, yeah.
Okay,
I mean,
that's-
they're
that's-
a
so-
company
but
that
just fair, okay.
we own. We're part of the owner.
We're part owner, but we're not total. So again, it's not, I just want to clarify that they're in business to make money. And if this has taken so long to get done, what's a couple more weeks to make sure that this contract is solid? And that it's not, there aren't holes. Like I said, I have a list of amendments that I would love to suggest. And if our law director is telling us that he hasn't, for whatever reason, again, I don't want to get in the weeds about this, but we haven't gotten him to look at whether it was for form, but not review the contract itself as far as the language. What would 2 more weeks be if we've waited this many years? What would 2 more weeks be to get an actual third-party opinion to clarify
That's
that this
fine.
contract is solid, protects the village indefinitely, doesn't hamstring us, doesn't tie our hands?
And again, that's fine. He was here for just a few moments, just to present this, to address your questions, to make sure they were addressed. When it comes up as an ordinance for vote, that would probably be
Fair.
where we can measure this. But if that is something that council desires as another legal opinion at that time, if the legislation fails or some clarifications needed, then it can go out to another third party for a review. And then we can take your discussion points and factor those in as well.
Fair.
Thank you.
Well, I just asked that, we're the ones with the boots on the ground. So ultimately, I'm the one that's responsible for these polls. So if you're gonna make a change, or if you'd like to see a change and it gets approved or whatever, I'm not against it, but I'd like to be involved as the one who has to enforce it. It's been a long journey and not a fun one. So I'm glad we got to this point. If anybody of you want to make a change, that's fine with me. There's 5 of us that control these polls, and you know, we're the ones responsible for them. And I wanted to know what's going to go in it. Okay, you're up.
Okay, so good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of council. Just a couple updates. The Finance and Utility Department received our sandbox for our VIP software today. So we will be doing hands-on training with our own information. Before it was supposed to be kind of like a template, and we just kind of play around with it. We actually have our own information that they've loaded. So we actually got that today. W-2s were mailed at the beginning of January to all employees. If a W-2 has not been received by, you can retrieve it by logging on to Paychex or by calling the finance department if you don't have Paychex access. January was closed on Monday, February 2nd. Attached is the statement of cash position showing the closing cash balance for the general fund at $952,953.94. The reserve closing cash balance is $174,135.13 with a combined value of $1,127,089.07. Please note this is without the cost allocation. I'm currently working on the percentages to present to council at a later date. The subject of an I-9 being completed by a council member who is an elected official and not an employee has recently come up. After multiple days of research and multiple calls to the United States Citizenship and Immigration Services Department, they control the form. I have been told yes, the I-9 is required to be completed by all employees, elected officials, and appointed officials who are being compensated. Attached to my packet is an email from the USCIS confirming this information. Per the I-9 provided by USCIS, an employee is defined as a person who performs labor or services in the United States for an employer in return for wages or other remuneration. The term employee does not include individuals who do not receive any form of remuneration, example, volunteers, independent contractors, or those engaged in certain casual domestic employment. Pursuant to the City of Newton Falls Charter, Article 3, Section 5, the salary of a member of council shall be paid $3,600 per year. It is worth noting this form is just for wages and taxes and no other purpose. Instructions for the I-9 state that the form, Section 1, must be completed by the individual by the first day of work. Then the employer has 3 days to complete the Section 2. With that being said, we are already non-compliant with the federal law. This is now subjecting the City of Newton Falls to an audit of individuals receiving payment or remuneration for the work being done. If the audit finds that an individual working for the city is not authorized to work in the United States, the penalty is up to $17,000 for the first offense. My final subject that needs addressed is direct deposit information. The city requires our employees to submit direct deposit information for many reasons, one of which is it saves the city money. When direct deposit information is not received and Paychex must print and mail a physical check for compensation, there is an additional $32.74 incurred monthly, which is $392.88 annually. The check must be sent to the city and cannot be mailed directly to the employee. I'm only saying this because I'm making council aware when it shows up on your budget, you'll know what it's for. That's all I have for this evening. If I can, Mr. Mayor, approach and hand out my packet. Once you review all of the information I've attached, you may contact me. I'll be in my office tomorrow morning.
Thank you.
Thank you, Pam. Thanks, Pam.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Pam.
Good evening, council. Good evening, Mayor. Nicholas Frendak, Superintendent of the Wastewater Department. I'd like to start off tonight by clearing the air on a few things I caught wind of in the past week. It was brought to my attention that there was a post on Facebook referring to the high cost of a resident's sewer bill. What I want to briefly touch on is what a resident should be paying attention to on their bill when specifically talking about sewer cost. Your sewer rate is based off your water usage. There's no other way to meter it. You turn your faucet, shower, dishwasher, washing machine on, you flush your toilet, etc. All of that water eventually goes down the drain and goes away. You may think that you and your family are using the same amount of water that you normally do, but there could be an unforeseen problem, and suddenly you get a utility bill that has your sewer rate extremely high. It could be a leaky faucet or toilet, broken or cracked water line, maybe even an outdoor hose spigot that's been left on trickling. Now, I'm not guaranteeing that any of these things are the culprit, but these things can happen, and it will reflect on your utility bill. That will be the telltale sign that water somewhere is still running when it shouldn't be. So please check your water usage. If you normally use, for example, 3,000 gallons per month, and now your bill says 6,000 or 8,000, there's definitely an issue. Now, because of the increased water usage, your sewer portion has gone up. All because, let's say, a toilet kept running after you flush it and you never knew. So, I've experienced this myself in the past. Even now, I'm constantly paying attention to this. Like, for example, at home, we have a cat. He loves to drink water out of our tub faucet. We leave it on dribbling for him. When he's done getting a drink, guess what? He don't know how to turn it off. He just walks away. So you can ask my wife how annoying I am always running around saying, why is the tub still running? Or did you turn the faucet off? But seriously, all jokes aside, please look closer at the utility bill. And if you got any questions, reach out to us, reach out to the wastewater department or the utility office. We're here to help. And that leads me into tonight's annual update for the wastewater department. First off, thank you guys for this opportunity to present to you. This year, the wastewater department has had several changes and experiences. First, we had our longtime superintendent, Michael Novotny, retire, and myself move up into his position. We had one of our apprentice operators resign and move to another state, thus leaving 2 positions open to be filled. We had several great applicants, held numerous interviews. From the list, we hired 2 apprentices, and I gotta say I'm remarkably impressed with how far they've come in this short amount of time. This week, they began class to start working on their Ohio EPA Class 1 wastewater licensure. My other 2 employees that I have helped lighten the load as I transitioned over into superintendent. One of those operators has advanced himself so far ahead that it should not go without notice. He has stepped up to help me train our new hires, mentor them, teach them, keep things running at the plant, all while taking class for his Class 2 wastewater licensure, and he's only got 2 years experience under his belt. He's gone from being my apprentice when I was crew chief to well on his way to becoming crew chief material. I joke with him daily that he's turning into me, but in all seriousness, his efforts and the rest of my crew are much appreciated. We are a 5-man crew, a superintendent and 4 employees. Unfortunately, at the end of 2025, there was an injury to one of our crew members, putting him out of commission for an unspecified length of time. So now we are down to a 4-man crew. The treatment plant, I just want to touch on this. It was last upgraded in 2007. It's now 2026. It's been 19 years. We are near that 20-year mark where we're starting to see the life expectancy of our equipment. Things are breaking, failing, becoming less efficient. It's a constant battle in this field to keep things running. As we say, it's not if it will break, it's when it will break and how bad it will be. Unfortunately, that's the nature of this industry. Mechanical equipment does not last forever. However, though, on a more positive note, we are beginning to replace those things and fix them. We had a new rooftop HVAC unit replaced on our MCC building. We had new pumps and level sensors installed at a few of our pump stations, new VFD for our belt filter press, a repaired VFD and blower for our aeration tanks. The sanitary storm sewer outfall near the covered bridge was repaired. We responded to 39 sewer complaints throughout the town. We flushed over 29,000 feet of sanitary sewer lines. And we've assisted fellow departments, the electric department and the water department, and even Newton Township by using our vac truck for flushing and hydro excavating. Some of our goals for 2026 are such things as a new boiler for heating our digested sludge. We're going to begin looking into updating our screenings and grit removal, as well as our UV disinfection process. Continued education, training, and advancement of our staff, upgrade of our computer SCADA system, and more removal of stormwater from the collection system. Also, I want to make note that we'll be renewing our permit with the Ohio EPA this year. I want to make it known that, once again, our plant has met and passed all of the requirements of our current permit standards. If I may, while I'm up here, I'd like to briefly thank and praise the other fellow crews that I work with. The street department has been out all hours of the night plowing, salting, clearing sidewalks and bridges, all with only 4 guys, just like us. We're down to 4 guys, they have 4 guys. Sometimes they're out for hours on end. I don't think they sleep. I don't know how they function day to day with so little rest, but they do. Our electric department is out immediately fixing and diagnosing problems as soon as the power goes out. and it's back on an incredible turnaround time. I see them out working after hours in certain areas of town. I didn't even know those areas were out of power. Our water department, these guys are there all day long. They're not only making sure the quality of our water meets the standards set forth by the EPA, but they're fixing things at their plant. They're maintaining the city's water tower. They're making sure we're never without water. Our water distribution department is out flushing hydrants, maintaining the distribution system, and fixing water breaks. I've been out on these water breaks with these guys to assist them. They're not fun, especially in sub-zero temperatures. I just like to say all our departments do a remarkable job, and I am proud to be a coworker of each one of our city employees. Now, if I can, I'd like to make somewhat of a funny analogy here, and I give credit to my wife for this. She calls me a Ninja Turtle because I work in the sewers, and the Ninja Turtles live in the sewers and save their city. But I like to believe it goes further than that. I want to put things into perspective. The power goes out, you see the electric department is out fixing it. The roads are bad, you see street maintenance department out, they're on it, plowing and salting. There's the water breaks, the distribution department is digging up the line, fixing it, the water plant's keeping the tower level above adequate. The wastewater employees are sort of like real-life ninjas, in a sense. We're in the shadows, in the background, making sure everything is working and flowing. You don't see us, you don't hear from us. As long as nobody gets sewer back up in their basement, we're not thought of. But I can guarantee you guys, we are there, we are working, and we are committed to making sure we're doing the best job we can. I bet most of the residents in town don't know that back in the fall when the homecoming parade was happening and there was a big bonfire and everyone was celebrating, one of my operators and myself, we were out after hours due to a mechanical failure at one of our pump stations. We're both 20 foot underground, standing in, I'm not kidding, raw sewage up above our knees until 10 p.m. at night, just to get things fixed and back up and running. We heard people walking by saying, "Ew, do you smell that? What stinks? And it smells like sewage over here." Well, they were right, because we were physically standing in it. I'm not up here looking for praise, but I am up here highlighting the dedication of our entire department. I want to make it known that the classic line, "No news is good news," does apply directly to us. That means everything, and literally everything, is flowing in the right direction. Before I'm finished tonight, I'd like to give special thanks to our former superintendent, Michael Novotny, who stated that after his retirement, he would make himself available and help aid in the transition period. He's done exactly that. He's always just a phone call away from me. I appreciate him and his knowledge very much. This concludes tonight's update of the wastewater department. I hope I didn't take up too much of your time. Please, if you guys have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to me. Thank you.
Thank you, Nick.
Thank you.
Oh, wait a second.
Sure.
Mr. Axio.
I live over near Adams. I live off Adams there.
Okay.
And I noticed, and it's been happening for a little while now, and I kind of mentioned it to Mike, and I don't know, it didn't go anywhere, but if you come up First Street at night, typically, there's a very heavy sewer smell. If you turn left after coming off First Street, you cross over the bridge, like where Bordas' Towing is, and it permeates like the whole area down there. And
Okay.
it's only at night I notice it usually. I don't know what it is. It's maybe you know. Maybe it's expected. I just it's something new that I've never.
I mean, offhand, honestly, this is the first time hearing about it. I did not hear about it before that. I can certainly look into it. I don't know off the top of my head of why. There could be something causing that, and it could just be, just the settling of water. You know, slower at night. People are using less water, so things kind of settle out. Gases carry further. I'm not saying that's the answer, but
Yeah, I've never noticed it before. I mean, I've lived over there since '07.
okay.
And probably in the last year,
Okay.
it's particularly very noticeable, and it's pretty strong. I mean, I mentioned it to Novotny before he retired, and I don't remember whatever, he didn't say anything came of it, so it's still there. I just saw it like the other day. I was driving by, I'm like, "Ooh, wow, that is."
Okay. Well,
It's
I will
but
make
it's late at night.
I will make
Like,
note of
later
that
than
so we can
9.
check that out in the morning.
The Ninja Turtles retiring for the
I don't know
Yeah.
what's going on. I just thought I'd mention it because I know it's down from the plant, so I'm
Yeah.
assuming it's something from the plant, but
Absolutely. If there's anything like that, definitely mention it to us because we've got miles and miles of sewer that we can't keep eyes on it 24/7. It's things like that that keep us on our
yeah,
toes.
I
to
just
look
thought
at.
I'd mention it because
Okay.
it's still there, so.
Right.
Now you know.
Thank you, Nick.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Hi, everyone. It's nice to see you again. It's always a pleasure. Just like Nick, I'm going to do a rundown of the water plant, and then Kenny will take care of water distribution. So for the year 2025, as typical, we operated 365 days of the year, 2 shifts, and sometimes we operated for 24 hours. Just like Nick said, we are in the shadows. My operators, you'll never see them in the system unless it's really, really bad. Kenny's guys maintain the system. They do an excellent job. They're on call all the time, and they always show up. So the water plant itself produced a total of 291,360,000 gallons of water for 2025. We did UCMR 5 testing in 2025. This is for PFAS. I'm pleased to say we do not have to sample in 2026 for that. The EPA is not requiring us to sample for that again until 2027. The UCMR 5 data is going to be included in the upcoming CCR report for the 2025 water produced. The hauler station, I know this was brought up. Last year in October, the old keypad for the hauler station went out. The day it went out, I was informed of it, and I was in contact with Brenner Industrial. They are the entity who provided us with the hauler station, the PLC, and the integration. The last time that screen was replaced was in 2016. We had a lot of trouble securing that panel through Brenner. There was a lot of holdups, part shortages. But the day that it came in, they came out and installed it for us. I had some local water haulers, the Wagner brothers. They tested it for about a week to make sure that everything was good. It worked great. They gave us a thumbs up. I'm waiting for the upcoming super cold weather to put it fully back into service, but the city has been selling bulk water through it, and it's working great as of now. It's susceptible to freezing, and when the temperature drops below 0, it's a standpipe. It goes up and out. The wind greatly affects it, so it's temperamental to freezing. We try our best to keep it, thawed, but when it freezes, we can't do anything about it. Last year in 2025, intermediate pump number 2 let us down. It sort of imploded on itself. It was an as-built pump from 1958. The problem with it was when they installed it incorrectly in 1958. The pump head, which is supposed to be removable to be replaced, was poured into the concrete floor of the water plant. So in order to replace that, we had to do some demo. The demo involved removing a lot of concrete, the housekeeping pad, and we had to have divers come in to go into the clear well in the basement to retrieve any concrete chunks. That way we could ensure that the other 3 intermediate pumps did not get destroyed as well. I'm pleased to announce that that pump was put back into service, brand new housekeeping pad, new motor starter in the MCC panel, and it's been working great. Let's see. We had one raw intake line break. Kenny's guys assisted me on that. We got that patched up pretty good. Let's see. Quarter 4 DBP results came back. This was sampled in December. They were excellent. The city's averages that are going to be included on the CCR are 60.45 parts per billion for THM and 37.3 parts per billion for HAA5. The MCL for THM is 80 and the MCL for HAA5 is 60, so we're well under those thresholds. Quarter 4 DBP results for the master meter we sell to Trumbull County came back as a 43.7 for THMs and a 20 for HAA5s. So I know there was concern about the water we're selling to them. It is way below, the limits the EPA has set forth, and it's way below the standards that are set forth in the contract with the sanitary engineers. As Nick said in his speech, I want to give props to Jeff Hawkins. I learned a lot from him, and he's on call. I can call him anytime. He answers questions. And the same goes for Chuck Lane, the water distribution superintendent. He is always there to answer questions for us. Them two are a vital asset to the community, as well as Novotny was too. Do you have anything? I'll switch with Kenny. You can talk a little more about.
Just a quick question.
Yeah.
This is just, thank you, of course, for the presentation.
Yep.
I've seen it, and maybe I'm mad at right field. I saw an article or something about the transition, Southington's water.
Yes, this was brought up.
Could you just speak to it?
Yeah, so this was brought up to council, I think, last year and earlier in the year, we were already anticipating it. We treat with just chlorine disinfectant. That's how the plant's always operated. And with Kenny's guys in our system, we can control these DBPs excellently. We've never had trouble with it. The county is sending water through a master meter, and then they rechlorinate it, what was that, a quarter mile up the road, half mile?
They got 13 miles.
And then there's 13 miles of pipe to get it to West Farmington. So without, flushing correctly and that rechlorination, they have trouble maintaining that dose. They have to add a larger amount of chlorine to get a dose out to West Farmington. With the chloramine disinfection, the water's more stable for longer distances, but you bring up your own disinfection byproducts, different from what we already deal with. So when this was all put in place, I forget when it was, Jeff Hawkins told them, you're gonna have trouble controlling these DBPs, taking it all the way to West Farmington. And they didn't listen to him, they put it in anyway. So we can control our system. We provide them with water that is below, what they're asking for in the contract, and what happens after that meter, I can't control. But we have been anticipating the switch to a different source that was brought up. Novotny brought it up towards us, and we informed council of it.
How does that affect us? Maybe the administration could speak to, maybe Jamie can speak to that. Is that?
I don't know about
Does our contract terminate, or how does that, I'm just curious since you're here, I figured.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that. I can tell you, though, that that line has put a lot of stress on the plant. We're running increasingly longer, and we've had more overtime. We feed more chem. It's more strain on the equipment. So it's a factor to take in consideration. We're getting money from the county, but also what we're putting in to make the water. Right. So it's going to be something in the next rate increase that we have to do per EPA guidelines to take into, factor. And that's something we're going to do this year of 2026. We're going to get a new rate increase. The EPA is demanding it. Not we're getting a new rate increase. I'm sorry, I misspoke. We are doing a rate study. The EPA is demanding it, so it has to be completed. And then that will be brought to you to go over once it's completed.
And in all fairness, no matter where we are serving the citizens of Newton Falls or we're serving somebody out in Braceville, the water plant is not profitable. We're just covering our costs. So if we aren't producing the gallons that they need through that line, Southington, Braceville, wherever we're going to discuss, we're not incurring those costs. And if the contract says it's so much per gallon through the meter, if there's nothing going through the meter, there's no charge. It really is negligible. There's really no need to end a contract if that's how the contract ends, is just zero.
Works itself out.
Correct,
And that
correct.
would lower, that sounds like it would ultimately lower just workload, wear and
Yes.
tear.
Yes, because as I said, the plant's from 1958. It was rehabbed in 2004, just like Nick just had his, he said it was 2007, I believe. So we're from '04. We're past that service life. I got some more stuff to add, I'm sorry. So last year, we worked with 12 Point Engineering, or 12 Point Consulting, and we are beginning to replace our filters. They get ran every day, 365 days a year, and they're at their service life from the last upgrade. So we're going to start this year with filter 4. We're going to do one a year going forward. That's another thing that the EPA has mandated. We had a sanitary, LSSV, so it's a limited scope sanitary survey in 2025, and the EPA, they asked us to do a few things, and we're doing that right now. So the clear well hatch in the basement, that's in the works right now to be done. The engineering's done. We just have to have Penn West Concrete come and do it. That's going to seal up the basement clear well where the chlorine gets injected, and it's going to stop the corrosive environment. And that's the first step into achieving what the EPA wants us to do for compliance after their last LSSV visit. The next stage is rehabbing the filter gallery and the filters. And once that's done, we can, move on, and hopefully the plant will last another 20 years. That's just what we have going on right now and what we've started with. And then once the, filters are in place, when we want to talk about a new upgrade where we go out for grants and loans through the EPA to do a full-scale upgrade, then that's one less thing that we have to, spend money on. We can spend the money on somewhere else in the plant to stay compliant.
Thanks, Cody.
Thank you, Cody.
Thank you very much, Cody.
Ken Bodner, Water Distribution, 2025, we had We did 676 work orders, 418 digs. We did 15 main line repairs and several service line repairs. We did 96 bacteria samples mandated by the EPA. We have to do those you have to do 8 a month. We flushed 399 hydrants and 36 dead ends throughout the year. They're not included. We flush them when we do the annual flushing, but we do the dead ends to keep the chlorine residual up and stuff. We did 5 new taps, new construction taps, which is kind of more than we usually do, so that was kind of fun. We got a new service truck that was, our old service truck really needed replaced. We only repaired 6 hydrants through the system. It's really hard to get parts for some of these older hydrants, so we might have to do some hydrant replacements down the road, just to update some of the old hydrants that we have in the system. One of my guys got his Class 2 water supply license last year. Richie, our newest guy, so they're all Class 2s. Relieved in the plant 27 days, which is low for us. We sent out the lead line service letters to the public this year in December. Also, we do lead and copper testing annually, but we've got really good results. So now we only got to do it every 3 years. So that saves us some money and, some hassle. And that's kind of it. Unless you got any questions?
Thanks, Ken.
Thanks, Kenny.
Again,
Yeah.
If I could add one thing, we submitted a capital improvement plan to the Ohio EPA last year in 2025. So sort of what I was saying, the filter project is the first things on our capital improvement plan that the EPA approved, so that's what we're moving forward with. On Kenny's end, he has a separate capital improvement plan, and his is going to be starting to replace a lot of the old fire hydrants in town and a lot of the old main valves. So it's going to be a big upgrade to our system, and moving forward, there's going to be a lot of projects coming up that we're pretty proud of. So we just want to keep you guys informed and.
As long as we get the financing, we'll
Yep.
be good.
Yep.
Hopefully we get some grant.
Yeah.
Because it's super expensive.
Yep.
All right, thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thanks,
so much,
everyone.
guys.
Appreciate it.
Now, unlike the other departments, they usually hand in an annual report and the city manager just hands it out to council. It's just an overwhelming amount of information. So I thought maybe putting names and faces together would be easier. So for zoning, it's slightly different since he is fairly new to the department. So this is going to be James Lampkin from zoning.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. As Jamie pointed out, I am fairly new to the zoning administrator role in general. So my report's going to be a little shorter. Since taking the role in November, I have noticed that in prior cases, we didn't have very much documentation or of zoning administrator or administration or of the code enforcement. So moving forward, that's kind of what I want to get standardized, is using the permitting software that we have to organize reporting and being able to document our zoning activity and permits. With that, since I've taken over, I've sent out 2 junk vehicle notifications to tell them that they needed to remove it or get it towed. A lighting regulation, and then I've gotten several complaints about the snow removal for sidewalks on the east side of town. That was addressed yesterday as well. Moving forward, I kind of like to hit like the way of life for getting some of the nuisance properties cleaned up, as well as addressing the junk vehicles and going on from there.
thank you, Jim.
Thank
Anybody
you.
else have anything? right, we'll move on to public comments, limited to agenda items only.
Julie Lemon, 609 Ridge Road. That's a lot of information we just heard. Because you guys took so long on it today, I do want to say that the whole abstention you guys can find, you guys mentioned it's in Article 3, Section 23, Part B. And it's not that you can't abstain, Mr. Burke, but just because you don't want to is not a valid reason. You actually have to have a valid reason. If it's a personal, you can just say personal conflict. But you can't just say, I don't want to vote, which is probably why. But that was there and that was put in place, Mr. Limbian, for a reason, because we've had formal council paper who have set up there and purposely held up the business of the city by just abstaining, which is why that was presented to the people, which is why it was passed by a lot in a charter amendment, okay? So it's not gonna be removed without removing the whole voting section. I don't think that's gonna happen. Now, on to ordinance 2026-05 and 2026-06. Using these as an emergency, I believe, is abuse of the process. The legal definition for an emergency is a sudden or unexpected occurrence, renewal, and as necessary for the purpose of council to just have access as necessary. That's not an emergency. It's actually the opposite. It's not a pandemic. It's not a broken water main. It's not even a collapsed road. It's not an emergency. That's why it's a referendable if you guys put this through. The only reason why, and I personally feel like the only reason why you guys are trying to push it through as an emergency is to stop the people from having the right to referendum it. Seems like that's kind of getting to be a pattern with this council. I'm not trying to offend anybody. I'm just saying it seems like it's starting to get that way because it's like with those two emergency ordinances, you're circumventing Article 3's Section 16 through 18. And I'm sorry, but a part-time position is not worth $70,000. There's not a part-time position on this planet that is worth $70,000. Give it to the water distribution. They need to pay for fire hydrants. He just stood there as long as the funding. You got an assistant law director you guys are trying to bring in, and it says $70,000 for her on the budget. I looked it up on the finance department. It literally says that line, assistant law director, 70. We're gonna pay $140,000. Have you guys lost your ever-loving minds? Our brains leaking something. I'm not trying to be offensive. I'm just trying to wrap my mind around where a law department, every law director we've had before has never, ever, ever had an assistant that we paid the equal amount to. Either he can do the job or he's incapable of doing the job. If he's incapable of doing the job, then please remove him and hire somebody that's capable of doing it. This is ridiculous. This is our tax dollars. And I guarantee you, when I get paid tomorrow, my city tax is being paid.
Time.
So please, you guys need to think twice about that, because I can promise you I will referendum it, and I already got people to help me do it.
Thank you, Ms. Julie. Anyone else? All right, we'll move on to reports. I'd like to report the cable in town was causing problems today, cable and internet throughout the town with Spectrum. And I did get a call into Spectrum as well as the gas company. So I wanted to make sure that this wasn't an issue that was due to the replacement of underground gas lines. So I moved up on that. Unfortunately, I was not able to follow up on either one of the two of them. And I just also, I want to touch briefly on sidewalks and snow removal. Each residence and each business is in fact responsible for snow removal, as is the city too, in front of their homes and businesses. And it's kind of like the old saying the farmers had, good fences make good neighbors. And, keeping your walkway clean, it helps a lot of people, not just people out walking, but people that, well, they have to go out and walk. They have to go out and get their groceries and things like that, as well as the kids that are going to school, and for a lot of reasons. So we have 4 people on the street department, so we don't have the resources to go out and do this as much as I would like to. We can't do it. So with that said, I would also like to encourage council tonight to stay on track and keep things moving, because I have a colonoscope tomorrow, and I was supposed to have had my first dose of medicine at 6 o'clock. So if we can stay on track here tonight and move this up,
TMI, man,
surely
TMI.
appreciate it. Well, like I said, I should have missed the meeting tonight, but I'm here.
Appreciate it.
All right, council. Mr. Axios, sir, do you have?
As mentioned earlier, the only thing I wanted to mention was that we were supposed to have a planning and zoning meeting yesterday. It was scrubbed due to a lack of quorum. We still have 2 spots on that committee that need filled, so if anybody's interested, please let us know. I'd love to get that thing back up to 5. So, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Axios. Mr. Crop, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, I appreciate it. I'm not gonna launch into a long, just for the sake of the
Thank you.
mayor, I'm
Thank
not gonna
you, sir.
launch
I
into a long,
do appreciate
I'm actually gonna submit, for the record, my ward report, so it can be read in the minutes if somebody wants to go over it. I'll speak to some of the resident communications that I had. I was reached out to by a couple individuals. One person called about the snow removal was one of the things that was brought up, and I think that was addressed. I actually had a neighbor nearby when we had the snowstorm. We were out shoveling and snow blowing, that kind of stuff. And we both discussed, we have a neighbor in our community that unfortunately has one of the inoperable vehicles that's kind of been lingering for quite some time. So we both addressed that. And then I had someone reach out to me about, he was the individual that reached out about the snow piles. It turned out to be like a private lot. I spoke with the city manager about this. He also asked about a turning lane. He said he drives eastbound on West Broad Street, so coming from City Hall towards Dairy Queen or towards where Rite Aid may potentially be. He mentioned that oftentimes he gets caught at the light because there's no turning lane, and I said that's not really something that we can do anything about, and that's an ODOT situation, ODOT issue, and I think he understood, and I said I would at least move it up the chain and let people know. So just want to make sure that the people in the ward and the city know that when communications are made and brought to our attention, at least we can put them to the right people on the right channels. I did have a meeting with the mayor, or not with the mayor, with the city manager, and the mayor happened to be there. It was the first time I had a chance to sit down with her since I took office, and we tried to align on kind of the direction of what the village wants to go. I think it was a fruitful conversation. I look forward to having more of them, so we can always stay aligned and not kind of work past each other. And I'll just leave it at that. Like I said, I'm going to submit this. So if anybody wants to read the full report, I have a couple other items as well. I do have Mr. Limbian's report, or his actual opinion, and I wanted to make sure that this was submitted to the record to be placed in the minutes as well. And I do have an email, Mr. Mayor, that I sent you after the last meeting, because we had an instance where we had a conversation prior to the meeting. I won't read that into the record aloud, but I will submit that to the clerk. So all these items, these 3 particular items, can be submitted to the record.
Does that include, did you say it includes legal opinions?
It has a copy of the law director's legal opinion.
I don't think those can be included.
Those can't be included.
That's not a public record?
Hasn't been before unless Jeff's willing to release it.
Well, there's no reason why it can't be. There's nothing privileged in there. So, I mean, it's information that I think the public should have. So
That was my purpose for submitting it, and for presenting it, so that it would be, so that we could, again, if we were to have discussion. Okay, thank you, Jeff, I appreciate that. Mr. Clerk, here are the 3 items. I should keep them organized, so they should be available for the record. Thank you. I have nothing else, Mr. Mayor.
Ms. Julie, do you have anything?
I don't have anything, sir.
Mr. Burke, sir. Mr. Rivner?
Just real quick, as far as Fourth Ward goes, I appreciate everybody that came out with me and helped remove the snow. Ran into a lot of people, well, figuratively, not literally, but come across a lot of residents out there that were more than happy to help out, appreciated those of us that were out doing the mass snow blast, so to say. I got 10 miles in 2 days. So, yeah, the strange guy in the orange jacket walking around all hours of the lawn with the snow blower, yeah, that was me. So I don't stop, I just keep trucking. So music blaring, and I roll. But again, I just want to say, for those of you that were out there with me, helping out your neighbors, helping out the elderly in the area, much appreciated, and thank you. So.
Thank you, Mr. Root. Mr. Lemon, do you have anything for us tonight, sir?
I do, sir, for just a moment about this poll attachment template. I want to read an email of January 13, which was about 2.5 weeks ago, from Mr. Evans. As discussed on the phone, please see the attached poll attachment agreement that we customized to fit the needs of Newton Falls. We received the template from AMP Ohio, which I do know what AMP Ohio is. Please let us know if you approve so we can put it in front of council as the 2026 year ends, the contract signed for our attachers. Now, the reason that I thought this was part of the complex component of AMP is because this template is from AMP. And AMP does not represent us. We are a component of AMP. I understand that. But that doesn't change the fact that what I'm hearing tonight, that the finance director and a member of the electric department put together a modified template from AMP, I think it needs more review. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lemon. Ms. Jamie, do you have anything for us tonight?
I've included my comments for council, so we can just include them in the record. It's mostly just pertaining to building maintenance. That'll speed us along so you can get to your doctor's appointment. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
Do we have a copy of it?
Should be,
Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize. I have it right here. It's behind my computer.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
all right. We'll move on to approval of previous minutes. That would be the regular meeting minutes from January 21st, 2026.
So
I'll make the
moved.
motion, or second. I'll second.
We have Ms. Stempert and Mr. Axiotis. Mr. Rufner,
Yes.
Mr. Burke,
Yes.
Mr. Axiotis.
Yes.
Mr. Crop,
Yes.
Ms. Stempert.
Yes.
Pass, 5-0.
Next, we have public hearings. This is ordinance 2026-01. This is an ordinance amending section 121.03I of the codified ordinances of the Village of Newton Falls pertaining to sponsoring legislation and council meeting agendas.
Nothing.
Nothing, all right. Next, we move on to ordinance 2026-3. This is an ordinance authorizing certain amendments to the appropriations for the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2026, and authorizing the finance director to amend and file the certificate of resources for the county auditor.
Julie Lemon, 609 Ridge Road. I'm on an explanation on the increase. I mean, I read the contracts, I read the ordinances from today, this is from last meeting. And I need to know, my councilman sponsored it. Why such an increase? You guys are allowing it to go for amendment. I have a problem paying double two people to do one job. I have a problem with it. I know I'm not the only taxpayer, I might be the vocal taxpayer, but I'm not the only. I guarantee you tomorrow, I'm paying taxes when I get my paycheck. I pay them every single time. I work from home, so Newton Falls, you guys get all my taxes, even when I get my monthly bonus check. So I'd like to know why we're paying double for one position as a taxpayer. I'd really like to know. Why are we paying him $70 and a potential somebody else $70,000? I guarantee you my councilman would have stood up here and had a conniption fit over it before he was on council. If it was Lynch era, you've been standing here having all kinds of issues with it. But now you're gonna sponsor it. I'm gonna need an explanation on that, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Julie. Next, we go on to ordinance 2026-04. It's an ordinance authorizing the city manager to enter into an agreement with Software Solutions for the VIP payroll software. We have unfinished business. This is ordinance 2026-01. It's an ordinance amending section 121.03I of the codified ordinances of the Village of Newton Falls pertaining to sponsoring legislation and council meeting agendas.
I'll make the motion.
Mayor, I'd like to move to make an amendment to this,
Let's hear it.
just to change the time. It's, the submission time, I believe, is 3 o'clock on this. To make it 4 o'clock, which is the close of regular business here at the City Hall. So just an hour change, so it's an it's a non, it would be a significant change.
I believe I think we ought to hear from the clerk and Miss Jamie on that, you know, the hourly employees. Because if we make it 4 o'clock and it gets stretched out, it could be 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock.
Just a
We go into
submission deadline.
time and a half or double time on that.
It's just a submission deadline, though.
Sorry, can I weigh in?
Please.
We've already voted on this, we've had public hearing, and now we're amending it. Are we able to do that?
If that's not possible, I mean.
You can, it would require it to be read
Again.
at the next meeting.
Council?
So are you putting the amendment on the floor then? And we,
Well, it sounds like it. He's trying to amend it. Someone have to second it.
Yeah, it hasn't been seconded, so we're honestly, we're kind of out of order, we're discussing already without it being even seconded, so.
I was just ordering I was just asking, is it proper that we can amend after we've already done that? So if we
Just
can
resets
amend,
the clock.
I'll withdraw. It's not significant enough to push this back. I'll withdraw.
Thank you, Mr. Rob. All right,
I'll second Mr. Axiotis' motion. That's, if no one else has seconded the motion to approve.
Thank you. Any discussion? Ms. Stimpert?
yes.
Mr. Rufner?
Yes.
Mr. Burke?
Yes.
Mr. Exiotis?
Yes.
Mr. Crop?
Yes.
Pass 5-0.
Some later date.
all right, now we'll move on to ordinance 2026-03. It's an ordinance authorizing certain amendments to the appropriations for the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2026, and authorizing the finance director to amend and file a certificate of resources with the county auditor.
I'll make the motion.
I will second.
Mr. Exiotis, Mr. Crop? Discussion?
Mr. Mayor, if I may.
Please.
In reference to this, I think it's been brought up what I would or would not have done potentially from a different position. And things look different sometimes when you actually know what's going on behind closed doors and you have an idea of what's happening and the amount of workload and the things that we require as a council, and to make sure that we're getting regular, legal advice on a consistent basis. And also, they're two separate jobs. We're talking about heavy prosecutorial duties, which I would encourage anybody, if they want to know the sheer volume of what's being done in the courts. And then also, just look at where we are right now. I know since I've been up here, I've presented multiple pieces of legislation. We've got multiple pieces of very important legislation that need to be thoroughly vetted and looked at. Language needs to be looked at very particularly. These things are very important, and we need to have people at our disposal. And I think this is very important to have funds appropriated for what this needs to happen, as far as if we decide to move forward with a potential different position or a separate position. I think it's important. So I just wanted to touch on that. I do want to make sure that my constituents know that I listen and am happy to respond at any time when it comes to these kind of things, and we'll give an explanation when it's necessary. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Axiotis.
I concur with a lot of what Mr. Crop said. I've been on team. I feel like we need a full-time law director, and others have disagreed, but if that position was prosecutor and law director, I feel the amount of work there is full-time. Reality is Jeff's been doing prosecutorial duties. That's 2 days a week minimum that he's dedicated to that, pretty much. Getting opinions and getting the ear of Jeff has been tough at times. I'm not trying to throw anybody on the bus. It's very tough. And I feel like there's probably more work that I know that I need as a council person that I think others probably echo on some level. And not so long ago, we were paying $120-some thousand a year for a prosecutor and a law director. So it's not so far-fetched where we're going. And prices have increased a lot in the last couple of years. Good luck finding people to work for $70,000 that are lawyers. It's just not easy. I'm sorry. That's the reality of it. It is what it is. Trust me, I'd love to pay as little as I can, but the reality is the market is what the market is. So, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Axiotis.
Mayor, if I may.
Please, Mr. Ruffner.
I think that one of the biggest points to look at here is this is not an increase in appropriations. It's already appropriated for within the 26 budget. Go back and look at it. It's Fund 100, Department of Law. It's just in two separate lines of accounting. One's for other operations, and it's moving to personal services. So there's not any additional expense. There's not any additional charge. We're moving the money that's already in the Department of Law into a line of accounting that is more appropriate for it. The money is there. It supports the need. And as both Mr. Axiotis and Mr. Kropp stated, you can say we've always done, but I can tell you firsthand, we're not getting the amount of work from Mr. Libyan pulling both duties that we need, especially at this time. We have documents, we have questions, we have legal opinions. We need to have access, we need to have that resource available. That's how we stay out of trouble up here and keep the community out of lawsuits. So yeah, it may have always been, or that was always the way they done, but we need to do better. We've all, you tell us we need to do better. We're trying to do better. And I'm sorry if that explanation doesn't come across, but that's exactly what we're trying to do. We're trying to do better and provide the community the services by getting the services we need.
Thank you, Mr. Ruffner.
Just a second. Both points well taken. I think it's important to note value too. You can attribute dollar amounts to anything, but it all depends on what you're getting for those dollar amounts. If you have individuals that can focus, hyper-focus, and do what they do really, really well, you're going to get more value, more bang for your buck, ultimately. And also, the last thing I'll say is, historically speaking, if we're gauging what we do now off of what we did before, and you want to do what we did before, how did that work out for us? It didn't work out real well. We had lots and lots of lawsuits, cost us lots and lots and lots of money because we didn't have people in positions or in place to do the job well to keep us out of those situations. So I will spend every day of the week, I'll spend $100,000 or $150,000 if it saves me $300,000 or makes me $500,000. That's common business sense. And I think everybody up here is in agreement that we need good people in good positions to do what they do well, to focus on those things, and to excel. And that's going to make all of us better. If everybody up here is in their position that they thrive in or that they excel in and do a really great job, the village as a whole will be served better, and that's the goal. And I don't think anybody can argue that, and I think that's where we are. That's all I have, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
All right, next we'll move on to ordinance.
We're gonna vote.
Oh, I'm
Gotta
sorry,
vote.
we got to vote. Yep.
Ms. Stimpert,
Yes.
Mr. Rufner,
Yes.
Mr. Burke,
Yes.
Mr. Axiotis.
Yes.
Mr. Kropp.
Yes.
Pass 5-0.
All right, now we'll move on to ordinance 2026-4. This is an ordinance authorizing the city manager to enter into an agreement with Software Solutions for VIP payroll software.
So
Make the
moved.
motion.
I'll second.
Mr. Axiotis and Mr. Rufner. Discussion. Mr. Kropp,
Yes.
Mr. Axiotis?
Yes.
Mr. Burke?
Yes.
Mr. Rufner?
Yes.
Ms. Stimpert?
Yes.
Pass 5-0.
All right, we'll move on to new business. This is ordinance 2026-05. This is an emergency ordinance reappropriating John Jeffrey Lembian as Director of Law and authorizing the mayor to enter into the attached Director of Law agreement.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Mr. Axiotis, Ms. Stimpert?
Discussion, please, Ms.
Oh,
Were you first?
Ms.
I just want to say, not to say what we did before, but these positions need filled. We have a need to protect us, to be able to move forward and do business. I'm comfortable with the emergency staying on. That's it. Go ahead.
Mr. Axiotis.
All right, so, when we went back and we were looking for a new law director back in 2024, we went out to the market, and I think we had a total of 3 applicants. I think out of the 3, looking at it now, thinking back, 2 out of the 3 didn't even meet the 5-year requirement to be law director. That left us basically, no offense, Jeff, one choice.
I love it.
We've talked extensively about your position here and what your desires are and how to lead forward with the city needs. And I feel like this is a happy medium for everybody involved. It's turned out it's been more than just a part-time position. That's the reality of it.
Yeah.
And I can't change that. Like, we can't just magically stop doing what we have to do as the city. So, I know there's some disagreement on whether it's an emergency or not, but I feel like in terms of just what council needs, it is an emergency. A lot of legislation and things that I've wanted to do have been held back because I can't get the ear and the time I'm gonna need for the things I wanna do from our current law director at times. It's tough, and I got many ideas that I'd love to put forward, but I need somebody who can give me sound legal advice on what that legislation needs to look like. So, you can look at it as whether it's emergency or not. In your opinion, that's fine. I feel like it is as a councilman. It's holding up what I want to do. And this helps remedy that. So, thank you.
Let us know if it's an emergency.
If I may?
Yeah,
Go ahead.
is there someone
Go
else,
ahead.
Ms. James?
Oh, no, I'm just stating maybe the law director can maybe let us know if he feels that this is an emergency, because I feel like his prosecutorial services and the amount of work at the courts, we have to keep him in place and renew this contract. And it's been an emergency legislation in the past. This is not new. Previous law directors were appointed with emergency legislation. So I just want to make sure that Jeff's okay with this remaining an emergency as well.
I think without question, it's an emergency. The fact that the police department has been reinstituted and the number
Workload.
of times and a number of issues that have come up for the prosecutor alone, separate and apart from my law director duties, has grown exponentially. And the fact that we're dealing with a number of police departments and the sheriff's department,
Correct.
detectives with really surprisingly worsening circumstances and
Yes.
in the criminal realm is extraordinary. And then by evidence of just tonight's meeting, you need if not a full-time law director, you need someone who can devote more time than what I have been contracted to do allows. And in terms of the salaries, and I know you're not asking that, but I mean, when you break it down per hour, it's woefully inadequate, frankly, for what a lawyer does. I mean, we're talking about probably a $75 an hour rate when most lawyers are charging $150 to $250 to $300 an hour. And I'm not poor mouthing, but the fact is to suggest that two $70,000 positions is outrageous is completely ridiculous. And it's clearly an emergency because, well, I didn't even know that Mr. Axiotis, as an example, is clamoring to see me. So, I mean, clearly there's a breakdown in communication and a need for somebody right away. And God bless Mr. Crop, certainly he's hit the ground running, and he's looking to make some very good changes and some additions, and he's going to require his own law director.
Well,
Thanks, Jeff.
I mean that as a positive, not as a negative.
I know, I appreciate it.
well, and may I speak to this too? The assistant law director, even though the salaries are similar, is going to dedicate 30 hours per week, which is nowhere near the $75 an hour that you stated.
You're right.
It's more like 45.
No, I was-
Which, you know, she will still have your knowledge and data to draw upon to help through this process.
You're absolutely right, and I didn't want to overstate it in
Right,
terms of the
right, no,
amount,
I
but-
just calculated,
Yes.
just so we were
Yes.
aware that it wasn't, while it is similar, there's different hour requirements for each and a lot more work, so you really can't give the 30 hours we think council needs and also satisfy all of this additional work that you're incurring in the prosecutor's office.
If you can keep her for $70,000, I'd be surprised and happy, but I think it's a great start.
Thank you, Mr. Limby. Mr. Crop, do you have
Yeah,
anything
just real,
you'd like to
she kind of addressed what I was gonna say as well, as far as it being an
Thank you,
emergency.
sir.
As far as it being an emergency, I think it's clear, I mean, we need someone in this position. It literally reads, if you read section 4, I have it in front of me right here, it's to ensure the departments of the village of Newton Falls and council are receiving sufficient access to legal advice as necessary. It's immediate, this isn't something that can be held up. And the last thing I wanna say is that I feel like, moving forward, I'm gonna speak for myself, I'm not gonna speak for anybody else, but I don't want to continue to address, we have an entire village to represent. We each have entire wards to represent, and I feel like the gallery, we end up going back and forth. This village is much bigger than any one person that comes and has an opinion. Although I welcome those opinions, I would like to see it done through proper channels and exercise there as opposed to, us going back and forth constantly over the same things back. We have business to get to. We have work to do, and we have things to do for the village. So I think that's the way that the council, I know that's how I'm going to carry myself moving forward. I'm not going to continue to just go back and forth and address things just cause. So that's where I stand.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mayor.
Mr. Exiotis?
Yes.
Mr. Burke?
Yes.
Mr. Rufner?
Yes.
Ms. Stimpert?
Yes.
And Mr. Crop?
Yes.
Pass 5-0. This requires a second reading.
On ordinance 2026-05, it's an emergency ordinance reappointing John Jeffrey Limbian as Director of Law and authorizing the mayor to enter into the attached Director of Law agreement.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Mr. Exiotis, Mr. Crop? Discussion? Mr. Crop?
Yes.
Mr. Exiotis?
Yes.
Mr. Burke?
Yes.
Mr. Rufner?
Yes.
Ms. Stimpert?
Yes.
Pass 5-0.
All right, now we're on to ordinance 2026-06. This is an emergency ordinance establishing the rate of pay for the Assistant Law Director position of the Village of Newton Falls.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Mr. Exiotis? Ms. Stimpert? Discussion? Mr. Exiotis?
Yes.
Mr. Burke?
Oh, sorry, yes. I thought you said someone else.
Mr. Rufner?
Yes.
Ms. Stimpert?
Yes.
Mr. Crop?
Yes.
Pass 5-0.
You guys follow the charter, it's Christ's ridiculous.
Point of
Point of order.
Requires
Miss
second
Julie.
reading,
Point of
sir.
order for what? You guys took an oath to
Miss
follow the charter
Julie.
and you
Point of
don't.
order, Mayor.
Miss
Point of order.
Julie.
She's out of order.
Mayor, I'm sorry. I don't mean any
All right.
disrespect when I'm
Point
sitting
of
here and going
order.
back and
Mayor,
forth.
Accept your apology,
Guys,
but
just
Miss
silent.
Julie,
Point
you have to
of
stop right
order.
now.
There's no back and forth.
Referendum. Y'all need removed.
All right.
What do you?
This is going to take us on to, we vote on that?
Sure where we're at.
You won't survive. We'll fire you.
Yes. Did we do the second reading for that one?
We did not.
We need the second reading for the emergency. That's what I thought.
All right. This is ordinance 2026-06. It's an emergency ordinance establishing the rate of pay for the Assistant Law Director position of the Village of Newton Falls, Ohio.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Mr. Axiotis, Mr. Crop. Discussion? Mr. Burke?
Yes.
Mr. Rufner?
Yes.
Ms. Stimpert?
Yes.
Mr. Crop?
No.
And Mr. Axiotis?
Yes.
Pass 4-1.
Now we go on to ordinance 2026-07. This is an ordinance authorizing the city manager to enter into a pole attachment agreement.
So moved.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
All right, Ms. Stimpert first. Sorry. Ms. Stimpert, and then Mr. Rufner.
Mayor,
Who did the second?
I'd like to make a motion to table this.
I'll second for the purpose of discussion.
It's Mr. Crop and Mr. Rufner.
Mr. Mayor, if I may?
Yes, please.
The reason to table this, as we've kind of discussed at length and went back and forth about the agreement, the way it's written and organized, I wouldn't feel comfortable moving forward with this in any way. And I hope Matt and Pam understand. Matt in particular, I know he seems very adamant and very passionate about doing this very quickly, but it feels like it's taken a while to get here already. I would feel much more comfortable knowing that our legal department had some input or some say, or a third party in particular, like I said, I think would be very beneficial. I have, like I said, I have amendments that I would be more than happy to present that I think would be relevant, I think should be, at least take a look at. And I would hope, since this is the first look that I've even had at this tonight, it would be brought up to council. I know a couple other council members were brought up to speed on this. I couldn't feel comfortable doing this. And I'm not in opposition. Like I said, I want to say that. I told Matt that, and I want to say that very clearly. I'm not opposed to this at all. I feel like it's very necessary. I just want to make sure that the village is protected, and I don't feel like the way it's constructed as of right now, that we have confirmation that that's the case. I would love to have our law director weigh in on the actual language of the agreement as opposed to just form. As he stated himself, that whether there was confusion or whatnot, I think 2 weeks to bring this back to the table and discuss it after having it reviewed, I think would be so much more sensible, and I hope council will agree, and let's be just a little patient, and then when we do it right. We make sure that the village is protected. We make sure that any of the clauses or sections that are in this contract, that from what I could see from the research and from the little bit of time that I had to take a look at this, that we're protected, that it's a mutually beneficial contract, and that it's not leaning one way or the other. That's the reason for my motion.
Thank you, Mr. Crop.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Just for
Mr.
point of
Ripper,
clarification on the motion, is this to table it until the next regular meeting and have it brought back with legal opinion provided by the law director? Is that the intent?
Mr. Mayor, if I may?
Please.
That's 2 weeks, right?
Yeah, that's 2 weeks, and I guess the question I would pose a question to the law department, to the legal, is that enough time, is that ample time to, in your opinion, for you to take a look at this and to give strong enough feedback so we have surety when we decide to move on this?
Yes, now that I know that this isn't a part of the AMP agreement, because I thought this was a component, a sliver of the AMP, because it was never explained to me until January 13th. But yes, I think in 2 weeks, that's enough time.
And Kevin, then yes, that would be my intent, would be to table this and bring it right back to the next meeting. And again, I'm not in opposition. I just want to make sure that before I say yes to something like this, or even vote no, that we know that the agreement is solid, that we've taken a look at it.
Answers my question. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Rufner?
Yes.
Mr. Burke?
Yes.
Mr. Axiotis?
Just to be clear, this is for the tabling.
Table it.
Correct.
Yes.
Mr. Crop?
Yes.
Ms. Stimpert?
Yes.
Pass 5-0.
All right. Got a motion on here by Mr. Crop to discuss a marijuana dispensary moratorium enacted in May of 2024 in order to better understand the current regulatory and zoning framework regulating the marijuana dispensaries within the village of Newton Falls.
Sir, if I may?
Do we need a second for the motion?
Oh, yes.
I would think so. We always second them. I'll second it.
Mr. Axiotis? Thank you.
No, ma'am, Mr. Mayor.
Please.
Well,
Thank you.
Wait, we got a vote on motion?
I'm getting ahead of myself.
Or discuss, I guess. Sorry.
Are we open for discussion, Mr. Clerk?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. The reason I brought this up is that this moratorium was placed back in May of 2024. There's been quite a few articles going around about tax dollars. And again, I don't have a position one way or the other ultimately in what the village, what we end up doing, aside from having information. But I don't want a moratorium to be used as a way to put a freeze on something permanently. I don't know if we've done any research, if maybe the zoning administrator can speak on this, or maybe the administration could speak on this. But it doesn't appear that any action's been taken at all. So a moratorium is generally, in my opinion, has been placed on something so that there can be investigation, there can be studies, there can be research to determine what are the best case scenarios, whether it's good or bad for the community along those lines. But I don't think anything's happened. So the reason I wanted to bring this up for discussion was to talk about that and see if there's any other interest from the other council members to maybe offer a directive to the city manager to get more information, to seek information about what the pros and cons may be, something along those lines.
Mr. Axios.
So when this first came up, and I was on board with the idea, and I know a lot of council was against it, I went out and found, I think I actually emailed some people the links to, that there was a university put together like a GPS-based map where you could see where the available dispensaries could be based off state laws, current guidelines. And for the most part, what it turned out was there's almost nowhere in the city that you could actually open a dispensary due to the fact of the school zones, the churches and whatnot, with the way it showed like the overlappingness of the circles. I think when I last presented it, the only really places they could put them would be going out like Ridge Road, going towards like Duncan, or possibly like Route 5. But anything within the city, it was almost impossible due to the layout of all the facilities that we have with the schools and the churches. They have a certain radius that they can't be within, so I'm not entirely sure. I don't think state laws changed much, and I mean, you can feel free to maybe do some of that research on it yourself. I did the legwork, and just like I said, it's very, very little places that could be. And it was a tool. I hope it's still out there, but it was really nice because you could just punch it in, it's like Newton Falls, and it would show you all the overlapping where you could and couldn't do things. So it would be hard to do it in the city, I think, at least in the city proper.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Julie.
I had mentioned that map and I could not find it. I know I had it somewhere, but I can't find it. But to add to that, we have a zoning inspector since November. So doing things right, not getting ourselves sued. It's hard to do things when you don't have people, administration, and the departments that you need. So the moratorium was put on place in light of that map and lack of administration to support us or give us the knowledge.
Well, we have a base with zoning and a city law director now. So there's a lot of things that we can move forward and explore and find out if we can or we cannot do. So we'll be able to turn up the wick.
Just a brief second. And that's, honestly, that was the purpose of the discussion, was to bring this up. And to Mr. Axiotis' point and to Mrs. Stemper's point about, being able to look at maps and those kind of things. I don't disagree that that's probably the case, that may be the case. I would love to have our zoning department maybe provide something along those lines and give us, some information to verify that, and then we could lift the moratorium and vote to disallow or to, I think that's kind of the direction that I wanted to go, and why I wanted to bring this up is because, again, to have a permanent moratorium on something, I think, is not the proper procedure as far as that. And having more information, having access to information, I realize that James has come on just recently over the last couple of months. And I'm hopeful that, all these, there's a lot of different things, as, the city manager knows, there's so many different moving parts, and it's, she's spinning plates all the time and putting out fires. And I'm sure James is probably doing the same thing. And when you walk into a place that doesn't have a whole lot of anything ready for you, or there's no documentation or records or, that kind of stuff. But that's, again, was just to start that discussion and hope that as we move forward, however long that takes, to maybe get some more information directly from our department and provide that back to council or at a planning and zoning meeting would be fantastic.
That way council has information to act on as opposed to just kind of sitting on our hands, which moratoriums, in my opinion, kind of are over a multitude of years. That was the purpose of the discussion. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. All right, we'll move on to public comments. Limited- What's that?
We have the motion he added,
Oh, okay.
right?
That was just a motion to discuss.
That was just a motion to
Right.
discuss, yeah.
So there's no,
No action.
All right,
nothing else.
move on to public comments, limited to 3 minutes. We have anybody?
I thought you had
Yeah.
motion.
That's what I was saying. We had the informational for
Yeah.
the 250.
Look, we had the 250th, it did, I don't recall, I didn't make notes and I should have, and I,
Remember I blabbered on instead of waiting for the,
that and the,
Oh, yes.
the group homes, did the group homes discussion did not, I don't,
That-
remember.
That
That
was
passed.
removed.
Did I remove the group homes
You-
discussion?
You removed that one.
I lost track of myself.
So,
Discussion for the
yes, so
250th.
Mr. Crop removed the discussion of the rehabilitation facilities. But then you did make a motion to place on the agenda to discuss an item regarding rental properties and group homes.
I don't think that moved.
That one did not
Didn't go
pass.
on.
Through that.
That's why I'm reaching for my thing here.
Yeah, it didn't go.
A lot going on today.
the 250 one.
That one didn't pass. And you withdrew this one, and then there is,
I'll clean it up, Mike, I promise.
no, it's me. It's me. And then this is a motion to discuss, the village's potential involvement in America 250 activities, including coordination related to the July 4th, 2026 celebration for the purpose of gauging interest and exploring preliminary ideas. That was added to the agenda.
So moved.
Do we have a second to
I'll
discuss? Ms. Stemper.
And I already discussed, so we'll just move on. No, I'm not going to rehash it.
Mr. Mayor, if I may.
Please.
Thank you. Again, as we we let Julie talk at the beginning there, just kind of let her go. I didn't want to point of order because she supported my motion, but I did want to discuss this because I do, even though we don't have an abundance of people here in the gallery, I do recognize that people do talk and pay attention and will maybe potentially watch us online as well. And I do want to hopefully start a discussion with any interested or involved parties to see, I would love to see this be the biggest 4th of July celebration that Newton Falls has ever had, because I think it benefits the community at large, I think it benefits the businesses, I think it benefits everybody as a whole, and I just think it's a really amazing thing that we get to experience, that, you know, I think it's pretty unique that we get to celebrate a 250th anniversary of our country, and again, I think we have been known ever since I was a young boy as the place that you go to watch fireworks, and I've been coming here since I was a young person. And I just wanted to put that out to the public and let them know that we're at least considering it, and I would hope that my council colleagues would maybe do the same and maybe reach out to potential interested parties. I know Julie had mentioned, and hopefully she'll maybe rehash it again. But to try to coordinate and collaborate with as many interested parties as possible to see if there is interest, to see if anybody wants to participate, if there's something larger we can do than just the 4th of July committee. I think we have the car and bike show, and forgive me if there's others that are off the top of my head, but we have several months still to plan this kind of thing, and I think that would be really beneficial. I'd like to see, like I said, if we can have the biggest turnout that we've ever had for this event, I think it'd be really awesome.
Mr. Axiotis.
I agree with a lot what you said. Just remember that a lot of those things are independent of the city.
Right.
So it would involve us, if we're gonna get involved, whether it's, I won't say throwing money at them or whatever, but, you know, and I know those guys do it on a shoestring budget already. So it'd be nice if we had a plan or something that maybe we would sit down with them and have some kind of work session and, you know, just pick their brains and see what maybe could be done. I know I won't be here for the 300 celebration, so it'd be nice to see a nice 251. But I agree with you. I mean, it's worthy of discussion. I don't have any talking points other than I know that, you know, those committees, like, I wish we were more involved. I know we help out, obviously, you know, being the city with the park and stuff, but most of that's been hands-off for years, that the city just doesn't have anything to do with them, which is kind of a shame. I mean, I wish we were more involved, so.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else? Mr. Rufner?
I'll just put this out there. I don't think we should really do anything more different than what we've done in the past. We've always established ad hoc committees for things like this. This shouldn't be any different, or shouldn't be approached as any different. Again, I don't think that it takes the involvement of this line of desks to get people together to have a discussion with the administration and have the administration approach council of this is what they're looking for, this is what's feasible. I mean, otherwise, we're gonna have 50 people lined up here going out the door going, hey, give me $500, give me $5,000, can you give me $10,000? Because this is what I want to do. If we establish an ad hoc committee, if there is that amount of interest from the community to get involved, first of all, I'm hoping there is, but we establish that community, work it through the city administration, and every one of us is able and willing to sit in at those meetings like we've done before to hear it firsthand, if that's what we want. But I think having the administration be able to filter through and give us viable options, what we can do, what we can't do, what's legal, what's not, that should be done before it comes to this table for a yay or nay. We're the yay or nay, but we can get involved from day one, sitting in the galley of that special committee. But I don't think this body needs to be on there day one, is my point.
Can I have a second address?
Thank you, Mr. Riefman.
Please. Second address. I think this really kind of does echo back to community involvement. You know, we had a committee that was kind of tasked with that, and it fell apart. We couldn't get people to come be a part of it. You know, and what they were championing at times and getting involved with, I thought was great, but it lasted like 6 months. I'd love to see it return. I'd love to see people get involved. I love the events that get put on. You know, as much as everyone hated on David Lynch, I loved the Christmas thing that was done. The tree, like, I mean, there were some cool things that the city started doing, you know, that we were involved with prior to me being up here. But I mean, you know, I'd love to see that kind of continue and come back. And I'd love to see a committee formed out of interested parties. But I don't know how to motivate people. You know, it's tough.
Thank you, Mr.
If I may, real quick. To Kevin's point, and I agree, and I'm just gonna kind of reiterate what I said before. If something that we discuss up here, just a brief conversation, and someone hears it and they choose to engage because they know we're receptive, I wanna welcome them. I wanna make sure that they know that if there is one of those committees that works, that does all this heavy lifting and does all those things to put on these events, to just know that we're here, we have an open ear, we're willing to listen to them if they did have an issue or something that we could help them with. Because I think that there's definitely an understanding, and what Mr. Axiotis just pointed out, is that we can't get people to be engaged. And I think a lot of that has to do with historically disengaged people up here that didn't want to participate and didn't initiate, or, like, again, were more retaliatory or more reactive to things. I think there's a positive to at least putting it out there. If the public doesn't react, if there's no engagement, if no committees or anybody approaches us after this conversation, then that's on them. At least I know that we put it out there, and we put the olive branch out that we're available and we're willing to discuss something like this, and then we're open to those types of discussions. And that's really all it is. It's not that we need to technically be involved per se, but it's just, like I said, the olive branch, so people know that if they did need something, there's something we could help with from up here at the dais. We could assist them in making this event better, or whatever that looks like. And again, discussions are always good for coming up with ideas. I just want to make sure that people out there know that we're available and we're listening, and we want to do good things for the community. If they don't act on it and don't do anything with it, that's on them, and I won't lose sleep, I guess, over it if they don't approach us or don't do anything with it. So just want to put that out. Thank you, sir.
Okay, so now we will move on to public comments with a limit of 3 minutes.
Julie Lemon, 609 Ridge Road. Okay, I'll apologize for my outburst, but I'm gonna tell you what's behind it. Councilman Axiotis actually told me when the stuff about the not-so-good cops hit in December, he told me on the phone that he didn't care for Attorney Lembian and that he wanted him gone. yet you sponsor legislation. That makes you a hypocrite or a liar, you take your pick.
No.
Attorney Limbian, and I'm looking straight at the floor, I ain't looking at none of y'all, told me in April that if Councilman Crop was to win, he was going to quit because he could not work with him. And I'm not lying, because when I got the text message too, I sent it to Councilman Crop. This is ridiculous. I pay taxes just like everyone else. I may not own a home, but I guarantee you they raise my rent every time you guys raise a utility. Every time the tax increase happens, renters feel it too. And why I rent is nobody's business. Okay? For one. But for two, I guarantee you every single paycheck, every single bonus check I get from my work, my taxes come directly out into the city. I pay taxes too. You know, as a taxpayer, what I feel like? You're wasting every penny that comes out of my paycheck. I mean, if you guys are not going to spend it right, for the love of God, let me keep it. Because I'm not the only person. I'm going to say I'm probably the most vocal next to you. But I'm probably the most vocal. And here's what you guys don't even know. If you guys would just done those those contracts as a regular ordinance and just let it pass through. It's not an emergency. He's been working. Trust me, we know he's been working. It's not for people to have their own personal little lawyer in their pocket. But it would have went through and it would have passed. And even if someone was dumb enough to referendum him, even I'm not dumb enough to referendum it if it's an original ordinance. You know why? Because it's administrative. It wouldn't have been referendumable. It's not an emergency, and I can prove that. It's going to get overturned. You should not have to make the citizens go out and do a referendum because you guys fail to understand the charter on that. Think about it. We referendum Pam Pretty's contract. What happened? The Board of Elections sided with Pam. It was administrative. It was not an emergency, and they tried to push it through like that as well. Just because contracts have been done when there was no legal contract, like, we didn't have a law director. And it was done as an emergency then because the charter required us to have one. We have him. These were not emergencies. And I would not take his opinion when he's sitting there about talking about contractual law and he didn't know what he was talking about. I talked to this girl that's been sitting back here every meeting when she came on the day of interview. She don't have no qualities or history working in municipalities. Please, be wiser. That's why people get mad. And you wonder why you don't have help coming up here and people volunteering? Because they're sick of the same bull crap. Nobody wants to get involved because you guys say one thing and you do another. Have a good night.
Thank you, Ms. Jolie. Anyone else like to step up for public comments? All right. We'll move on to closing remarks. The only thing I want to say is politics make strange bedfellows. And politics are a confluence of changing thoughts, changing people, changing ideas. But it's one thing that has made this republic great, is that we can all find an avenue to pursue, to get along, and to work towards a common goal. So, with that, I'd like to turn things over to Council, Mr. Axiotis. Do you have anything?
I'm going to talk about what was said up here. In our conversation, I said, when it comes to dealing with Jeff, trying to get legislation drawn up, addressed, it is impossible. It is hard. It's very hard. I don't know why that is. I know you're at the City Hall, or the old City Hall, the court, 2 days a week. It is hard to get your ear. And that is not what I need as a law director. I need somebody who's responsive, who can answer emails, questions, give me legislation, and I'm not throwing you under the bus. You're a busy guy. So am I ready to move on from that and find someone new that can really address the things I need done? Absolutely. Is that why it's an emergency? Absolutely. Things just haven't been done. I can tell you right now, at the end of the year, I asked for your opinion on a change to how we were paying boards and commissions. I've never got a response to that. I asked you about the Treasury Investment Board thing. You gave us a response, but when we looked at it, we felt it was not complete, and there was a lot of issues with what you'd given us. We've never went back and revisited that. I've talked ad nauseum about the concerns over zoning issues in the city with the the various entities that have come here and set up shop. That's gone nowhere. It's been 2 years. There are many things I want to do that I'm just not doing because I don't feel like I'm getting the legal opinion I need. And it's nothing against you. I like you, and I think the judge loves you. You're a great prosecutor. I don't, for what we're paying you and how many hours we asked you for, it's just probably too much. That's the way I feel. I think I think it was 20 hours we were going with when you're part-time status, and you're spending most of that over there. So this is why it's an emergency. This is why we're trying to get things addressed. If I had to wait, 2 more meetings to try to get this pushed through, and who knows how that would go, and would it be referendum? Sure, it could be. That is the situation we're at this point. I don't know how else to make it different. And the money that was allocated previously for the 2 positions, we were paying a prosecutor $40,000 a year just to be a prosecutor 3 years ago now. I think he was here for a year or 2. So things change. It doesn't always stay the same. And I want to point out, the person up here yelling at us has been on both sides of the fence numerous times over the last 5 years. She championed firing people who had contracts, which cost this city well over $1 million now, and now she's up here yelling at us because we're spending $15,000 more than we were spending before. So I do find it a little strange. We're not always right, we're not always wrong. There's somewhere in between the gray area. I feel like what we're doing up here with these 2 ordinances is an emergency. In my eyes, it is. We got a lot of things that need addressed. I don't know where to go from there. I mean, I got so many things I want to do that it's going to take many hours with a law director or an assistant law director to try to craft that legislation to get it moved forward. So I feel like this is going to address that and help us out immensely.
Thank you, Mr. Axios.
Thank you.
Mr. Crop, do you have anything for us?
Yeah, I'll try to be brief.
Thank you, sir.
Again, I mentioned previously that I really don't like to address single individuals that come up and make heated comments and emotional comments because it just fuels additional heated comments. And yes, I absolutely have been one of those people to do that. But as I'll state, and I've stated before, that those attempts at coming up here to, chastise or challenge or whatever, were after exhausting every other avenue, trying to reach out professionally, trying to reach out through different channels to multiple individuals, previous iterations of council, previous administrations. It was never the first. It was never the first go-to to come up and attack somebody and throw them under the bus or call them names or get loud and emotional. That was always a last resort. And in reference to Mr. Limian and anybody else, I'll be the first to say that I don't agree with everybody all the time. But up here, when I became a council person, and I take it very seriously, and I think this role requires a higher standard. And I've had this conversation with some of my colleagues. I think that we are, when you're elected or you're put in this position and you're up here, you are held to a higher standard, and therefore I will try to carry myself with professionalism. I will treat my colleagues and people that I work with, I'll work with anybody that's willing to treat me with respect and treat me with, some decorum and professionalism, I will give that back. Mr. Limian and I have spoken at length. Like I said, we didn't see eye to eye when we initially, when I was not up here and I was down there. And I openly admit that. I have no problem admitting that. And will I challenge him at some point? Possibly. And we've had this conversation, and he's open to that because I think he's a professional. I think he's a grown adult. I think he can handle having someone push against his professional, replies or whatever he thinks. And that's okay. And that's needed. That's what growth happens in those situations. And people change. People's opinions, people's attitudes, how they approach things can change. And there's nothing wrong with that. And I will never hide behind something I said or did. I try to be very clear when I do, so that way I don't have to remember it. I know how I felt, and I can address it. And that's a perfect situation to have one of my constituents, because she's my constituent, come up and say these things and call people hypocrites. It's not fair, it's not justified, and I can articulate and clarify where that comes from. And Mr. Limian and I, our relationship and how we work together now is a perfect example of that. And like I said, we won't always see eye to eye. I don't see eye to eye with my colleagues all the time, the mayor, the administration. That's going to happen, but I think we can all treat each other professionally, and I think we do genuinely all want to see the village move forward in a positive direction and actually have some growth and not just stagnation, which is what we've seen. That's all I have.
There you go.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Julie, you have anything for us?
Anything, sir?
Mr. Burke, do you have anything, sir?
Yes, I'd like to say thank you for the street department and all the department heads that were here for their annual report. The street department did an amazing job getting that snow removed. I did get stopped yesterday by the management at 5:34. I was across the street doing laundry about the letter they got, and so they did quickly remove that snow. And I hope all the other businesses do the same thing. That's all I have.
Mr. Rifner?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I got two real quick things. Police Department wanted to put out, and you may have seen it on the Facebook page, that Arbor Metrics is going to have a survey team out. They're going to be surveying the tree lines along First Energy power lines for potential future trimming. So if you see them out there, they're legit. They are going to be wearing the bright orange reflective vests, and they are in a corporate placard vehicle. Also, one of the local businesses uptown, Fieldview Acres Mercantile, also known as the Merc, wanted to pass that they are announcing a long-term treasure hunt that is designed to encourage residents and visitors to explore Newton Falls, spend time throughout the community, and support small business that sustain it. Tom's got a lot of good things going, and this is just one of them that he's trying to kind of spark into the community, but there will be a actual real treasure stashed somewhere in town. What it is, details, all that, not yet completely released, but he is saying it will be a substantial cache that is going to be hidden somewhere within Newton Falls. Hints will be given out, opportunities for people to find it, and again, once it is found, it will be announced, so on and so forth. If you have any questions, please reach out or stop in up at the Merc, get with him. More information to come, obviously, but he did want us to make sure we put it out there that that is something that is going to be coming to the community. Other than that, Mayor, I have nothing.
Thank you, Mr. Rifner. Do we need to recess into executive session tonight?
Hope not.
I hope not.
I move to adjourn, Mayor.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Was there a motion to adjourn?
Yeah, I motion. I
I'll
move.
second.
The party's starting at my house shortly.
Mr. Crop, Ms. Stemper, Mr. Rufner,
Yes.
Mr. Burke.
Yes.
Mr. Exiotis.
Yes.
Mr. Crop.
Yes.
Ms. Stemper.
Yes.
Pass 5-0, 8:32.
Good night, Mr. Hackathorn.
You could see the Julie coming out today.
They had 20 things, more than we had.
Yes, I can.
She said right there.